What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining us right here on Tuesday night. It is episode number 77 for your December 17th, 2024. I am your host, JD from New York. As always, joined by my co-host and very good friend. You know him as the Solomonster. What is going on, brother?
What's going on, man? We're almost through 2024. It's almost a brand new year.
I know.
What's going on?
I can't wait. Can't wait.
I can't wait either. I mean, how do you not know that January 6th is Netflix? Because they tell you every 15 seconds. I mean, they're going balls out with the promotion for this show.
Yeah, you know, Triple H looked a little too happy in that little promo vignette that they cut at the headquarters the other day. He's a little too happy, smiling in front of the new Raw logo. It's like, all right, bro, is this your? Yes, it's your show. You've made it very well known that this is the Paul Levesque era. So it's like nobody else exists. It's just Triple H.
He's happy though, dude. He's happy. He's been how many years he's been waiting for this opportunity for it to be all about him.
I know. I've been preaching this to the choir for the last 3 or 4 years. I know.
He's excited, man. I mean, I would be too if I had to play second fiddle to the madman for so long. Now this is his time to shine. Tomorrow
they're actually having that little get together outside the headquarters. I actually applied for tickets. I didn't get an email back, so I guess they realized who I was.
They were like, "Oh, this guy's going to cause trouble. We don't need him here. This is supposed to be a happy day. We don't want him here." Or maybe they thought you would show up as JD Graham with the mask, and they were like, "Yeah, we can't have that."
Yes, for everybody, I told Jason in the sound check, I have, and I'm going to show it on stream right here. I have the hologram mask here. It is in my possession, and Shop AEW has sent it to me finally after 2 weeks, and that will be tomorrow's stream for Jesse. It's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a very uncomfortable stream for you.
I know.
And I don't envy you because I tried that once. I actually have a lucha mask. And it's signed, too. It's signed by one of the old stars of Lucha Underground. And I put it on, and I felt like I wanted to die. And I said, the idea of doing a 2.5-hour show like that is just no bueno. So I just couldn't do it.
Well, now I get to experience it, and then we have something else in common. There you go. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but you people asked for it, and I have to deliver. So it should be good. And Jesse, I'm sure, is going to get a kick out of it. He already is anticipating tomorrow's stream, so it should be fun tomorrow night. And tonight should be fun. We have a lot to get into. We have Saturday night's main event, and we have everything that happened on Saturday night. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to give a little bit more added detail on what's going on. As far as Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, the Winged Eagle belt back on TV. How long is it going to be on TV? Monday night last night, we saw a couple of big happenings. We seen a potential partnership possibly between Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins and CM Punk is already signed, sealed, and delivered, confirmed for January 6th in Los Angeles on Netflix. And we have the Reign of Terror from the Judgment Days tag team title reign finally over. As the War Raiders are the new tag team champions, we will go over all of that and give you guys where we possibly see most of this stuff going. And then obviously Tessa Blanchard. There was some new revelations today, according to Dave Meltzer, that he feels Tessa Blanchard and this TNA run is nothing more than a test because she's going to end up in WWE. Now, I don't know how...
what a novel thought from Dave.
I know.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a fan. Maybe he's a fan of the sound off, man. I don't know.
Maybe it's possible, or he just, it's just common sense.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time he fucking plagiarized something in 2024. So we will definitely go over that. I know I've had my fair share of things to say about Tessa. I think she's a great pro wrestler. Don't get me wrong, but a good human being is a good human being, man, and that's where we're both coming from on that. So we will definitely go over that and how all that came to be. And this is episode 77 of Tuesday Night Titans. I would really appreciate if you guys hit the thumbs up. The algorithm loves when you guys hit the thumbs up, and we love being in the algorithm, so please do that. Also, comments down below. If you guys are watching after the fact, every comment down below also helps out in the algorithm, so please make sure you guys do that. It's a great way to get the podcast and the channels featured to new eyes and new ears. Super chats are open. Get them on in. We will hang out at the end of the show, as always. And if you guys want to follow Jason on social media and on YouTube, everything you need for him, if you guys don't already know, is linked down below in the description, both YouTube and Twitter. And we were discussing before the show in the sound check, and I'll let Jason talk about this. We were discussing what's going to happen next Tuesday because next Tuesday is Christmas Eve. And Christmas Eve is a very difficult night to work on because I know a lot of people like spending time with their families. And I know most of the pro wrestling shows in and around Christmas going into New Year's are all taped and nothing terribly important happens. But like we discussed, Jason, I think we're going to take next week and the following week off. Is that correct?
That is correct. Then come back strong on January 7th, which is the day after the Netflix debut. So there's going to be plenty of stuff to talk about. Start a brand new year. You know, this time of year, it's the holidays. Even we got a bunch of tape shows coming up over the next couple of weeks. And it feels like there's not going to be a whole lot going on regardless. And like you said, people celebrating with their families and they're away in some cases. So I think it makes sense to just take a little break and then come back strong.
There you go. So 2 weeks without us, guys. I don't know what you're going to do or who you're going to watch, but we will be back on January 7th as when we come back, it is going to be a house on fire in the world of pro wrestling because that Monday Night Raw show is going to be an absolute banger and everybody and anybody is going to be there. So we will definitely bring it in the new year, right at the top of the new year on that January 7th show. So look forward to that next 2 weeks. No Tuesday Night Titans, but this week, Jason, we got a lot to talk about, and as always, I'm going to leave it off with you. What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about Jesse the Body Ventura being back. I felt like I was in a time capsule on Saturday. You know,
it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that. You mentioned the WWE Vault channel, and last night for 3 hours, I was on the couch with a nice bowl of pretzels and a nice drink, and I fell asleep with the Vault channel still going this morning, and I watched some old Saturday Night's Main Event shows and some matches because I wanted to see and remember what Jesse sounded like back in the day because I think I was a little too young and my parents didn't let me watch the late night primetime specials like that. So after Saturday night and what we got from him, I had to go back in the time machine and get a full spectrum of what Jesse brought to the table when he was actually younger. So I'm with you, man. That was one of my favorite parts of, if not the best part for me of the entire night on Saturday night.
Yeah, it was great. And again, you know, Jesse, he's 73 years old. Obviously, he's a lot older, and he's got the gray, scraggly hair. But he's got that voice. And, you know, he's still sharp enough where, you know, now he's in a three-man booth on the show and interjecting where, you know, he needs to chime in, but interjecting in a way where he injects some common sense and some logic, where we don't always have logic and common sense, you know, in the commentary booth. And that's exactly what he used to do back in the day. You know, he was the heel color guy, so, you know, he typically sided with the heels. But whenever the babyface announcers would talk up a Hogan or somebody like that, and they would cheat, but they didn't see anything wrong with it, he would call them out on their shit. And so I miss that. We need more of that. We need something like that in wrestling today, and we don't have it. You know, hearing him again, it just illustrates one element of the old school that I do miss and I think could work in the new school. But I thought, you know, for the one match he did at the end of the show, I thought he did great. And I'm glad that he's going to be a part of all of them. He's going to be a part of the next one. And all the specials they do, there's going to be 4 per year. And he's going to be back for all of them. So I think that's great.
Yeah, primarily what Jason's mentioning is in the championship match with Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens, there was a spot where the steel chair got involved. Kevin Owens didn't use the steel chair. And then Jesse Ventura, before it actually happened, before we seen the crossroads on the steel chair by Cody, because he cheated to win, Jesse was like, yeah, but his Rhodes going to use the chair. And that's exactly what he did. And then after the match is over, he cheated. He used the chair. The babyface used the chair and cheated to win. So, like you said, we don't usually get that. I think the last time we saw that legitimately modern era was Joe Tessitore when Drew McIntyre showed up right in front of him wearing a hood. That's Drew McIntyre wearing the hood.
And I can just picture like Triple H is here. No, Joe, that's not what we do here. We don't do that here.
Listen, man, I fall into that trap too, doing the baby face play-by-play commentary of House of Glory. I got to play everything. Who's that? I should start doing more Jesse Ventura. Like, oh yeah, that's so-and-so.
You ain't no baby face. Give me a break. I'm the baby face.
Yeah, I guess so.
I got to call it right down the middle. I mean, I'm splitting my time between that and the commissioner job here. I can't be playing one side or the other. I wouldn't call you a baby face. No, you seem to get a lot of heat with enough people. If you were a real baby face, you wouldn't have heat with everybody.
And listen, I get it. Okay, I'm the bad guy. All right, we don't need to embellish any more than we usually do.
That's why I got punched last year by Mason.
I know. Fuck that guy. Anyway, House of Glory on Friday night. That's where we'll be. Hardy Boys are going to be there, which is going to be great. And Matt Riddle showing up. Mike Santana defending the title. Ray Phoenix is going to be there. So it's going to be a big night. We're sold out in the NYC Arena. Very excited about that. But as far as Jesse is concerned, yes, I thought that was great. And I know you appreciate the old school just as much as me, Jason. I feel like, we both come from the same place a lot of times. We differ as well. But the best thing about the show and what immediately jumped off the page on Saturday night was the referee in the blue referee outfits with the bow ties, the red, white, and blue ring ropes, the obviously Animotion and the theme music, the podium where Jesse and Joe Tessitore were doing their pregame with the boas and the snakeskin vest and just the whole nine. Well, they did it perfect. I loved everything about the presentation. Yeah,
I mean, look, the presentation was the best part of the show, if we're being honest. I mean, as a show on its own, there were no bad matches on the show, but it was basically like a glorified house show. So it wasn't like a show where a ton of important stuff happened. The most important thing that happened actually happened off the air. But just for a retro throwback show, all the elements that you would look for pretty much were there. The one thing they left off the show, they put it on their YouTube channel, and I thought they were going to open the show with it, were the backstage interviews. I was shocked that they didn't do that, because they even did that when they rebooted it back in 2006, and they didn't do that this time. But like the thing that maybe jumped out at me the most was the use of the narrow aisleway and just bringing the talent in that much closer to the fans, which is something that used to be commonplace. But now I just feel like on so many of these shows week to week, there's just so much distance, between the talent when they come out and then the fans. And, they do go over and they smack hands and stuff, but it really illustrated like, okay, you can tell like what a huge difference it used to be when you would come down the aisle and everyone's clawing at you and wanting to touch everybody and the cops are there and security to hold you back. And we don't really have that anymore, but we had that on Saturday. And Gunther was the one that made me laugh, because right before he comes down the aisle, like he's like throwing his hands in the air, like, don't touch me. Like, okay, I got to do this here. And he goes down the aisle, but like he's just like disgusted by all these fans that he doesn't want touching him. So I enjoyed that aspect of it too. My guess is that we're not going to get all these throwback aspects on every episode. The red, white, and blue ring ropes, though, I don't see any reason why they shouldn't keep that around.
Yeah, I thought that was great. I didn't mind that at all either. I mean, it just aesthetically gave me a better feel of the show. As far as the aisleway, I actually, when did they do away with the narrow aisleway? Because I was watching last night, actually. I went back on the Vault channel and watched Shawn Michaels versus Marty Jannetty on Monday night where Jannetty won the IC title. And the narrow, I mean, they weren't as narrow, but they were narrow, because I remember Shawn Michaels on that video I watched last night had his hands in the air just like Gunther was. When did that actually go away?
It went away when they launched Raw's War, and we had the giant ramp. That's really when I first noticed that they got away from it, because the ramp used to be elevated. Now in recent years, whenever they actually have a ramp, what is it, 2-3 feet off the ground? Yeah. Right. Same thing with AEW. But back then when Raw's War launched, I mean, you were pretty high up there. Like when they did that angle with the Outlaws, when they pushed Cactus and Terry Funk in the dumpster, there was some distance from the top of that stage, down to the ground. So I would say 97, 98 is when they got away from it.
Wow. I didn't think it was that late, but yeah. I love the narrow aisleway. I know I was a little, just because I know how wrestling fans are, a little cringy with the ladies walking down the aisle and all the fucking savages in the aisleway trying to get a cop of feel, Yeah. No, I don't blame. I don't blame him. I throw my hands up in the air too. But it reminds me of some of these Comic-Cons. I'm sure you've seen these photos where, and maybe one of the more famous ones was, I think, was it Becky, or it might have been Becky, where there was a fan that was like hugging her and she looked so uncomfortable. Yes, that was Becky. Yeah.
And you see so many of these photos and they're like touching them around their waist and stuff. And it looks like a hostage photo where like you can see the look of fear in the woman's eyes. Like, what is wrong with you? Like,
I remember.
My God.
I remember. I don't know how long ago it was. It was definitely post-pandemic. I think we got rid of the masks and all the fucking orders and all that. The social distancing. Mercedes was actually one of these Comic Cons. It was like still a 6 feet thing. It's like the fuck. What are you paying for, man? You paying for a picture? Yeah, I'm in the same picture as Mercedes, but I'm not near Mercedes. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, she's all the way west and they're all the way east in the photo, and it's like, wow, you're paying $100. I think it was like $100 too per photo op, and I'm like, what's the point? You know, you need a megaphone just to like talk to her from there. So,
well, I don't blame her. She's been one of the more outspoken ones about fucking people finding out her flight info and waiting for her at the hotel and waiting for her at the gate. It's like, no wonder.
Well, I mean, a lot of these women though, it's not just Mercedes. It's Alexa Bliss. I mean, you hear stories and people are obsessed. They're crazy. So I get it. I understand.
Sickos. Those are the sickos. Never mind the AEW fans. Those are the sickos. But yeah, the nostalgic feeling of the show was spot on. I even love Macho Man's cosplay in the front row. I mean, it just added a nice little level of throwback. But Bully Ray, and this is an interesting take because I think a lot of people, including me, and I'm sure you did as well, Jason, felt the same way. Bully Ray actually discussed Saturday night's main event on Busted Open, whether it was yesterday or today, and he said this, and I quote, "I thought it was a giant infomercial. As I watched Saturday night's main event, I noticed a lot of different aspects of just what was going on in the ring with the wrestling. 54% of the show was packages, promos, ads, and all that stuff. This show, in my opinion, catered to the fan just enough. They gave the fan just enough. They gave the live audience just enough. They gave you at home enough. If you were sitting at home with your kids, it was a good, friendly show. But I think that show catered to new wrestling fans. And in my eyes, I felt like it was an infomercial. And I'm not using the word infomercial in a negative connotation. It's like, here's who we are. This is what we do. This is the product that we offer. Here's our characters, yada, yada." End quote. How did you feel about the pacing and the overall vibe of the show as far as the in-ring work and how the show flowed from segment to segment? I feel like, normally on a 2-hour Raw, we get, the typical formula, and I've been calling it out the last several weeks. WWE starts a match, 90 seconds in, they go to commercial, and then they come back, and then we get, either the match ends in that next segment, or we go through another commercial break, and we have a match like last night. Both championship matches were 3-segment matches. How did you feel about the amount of wrestling we got on the show in the 2-hour program? Was it enough? Was it not enough? Do you agree with Bully Ray? How do you feel about the overall Saturday night show from the Coliseum?
Well, I mean, I didn't hear what Bully said. I mean, but I said something similar on my own show and in my review and I noticed it last night. We had a match last night on Raw with Braun Breaker and Ludwig Kaiser, and they went 18 minutes. That match last night was almost twice as long as the longest match on Saturday night's main event, which is ridiculous. Okay, and I thought it was a good match last night. But we had some big matches on that show on Saturday, and to think that, that match last night was longer by a lot than most of those is kind of ridiculous. But that was the whole purpose, though, because of the audience that they were exposed to. It's not like they haven't been on network television recently. They were on Fox, for 5 years, but this was their big NBC return. And I don't think Saturday night was about putting on great, in-ring masterpieces. They wanted to give you just enough to get their key stars over. So their champions were on the show. I mean, there were some people who were missing, but a lot of the key stars were there. They were accounted for. They gave you just enough. And it was an infomercial, but really, how different did it feel than most WWE shows or PLEs? Like, we get tons of ads and tons of vignettes, and every fucking show feels like an infomercial, right? Does it not?
It does. The commercials. Yeah. I feel like the commercials are worse now with the 2-hour Raws. But yeah, it felt like a 2-hour SmackDown on Saturday night. That's what it felt like.
Yeah. I mean, I called it Saturday night. It's like Saturday Night Raw. That's basically what it was. So the combination of wanting to, introduce yourself to potentially a new audience, but also get that Netflix debut over, because they were promoting the hell out of that as well. That was really their main goal. It wasn't about putting on a 15 or 20-minute mat classic. So that's why they did what they did. Just like the angle that they shot after the main event, right? It was all, and it's funny because I said this in the review, and then we saw it last night where they were gloating about 45 million channel views across all social media. And I said, that's the entire reason why they did it. It's all about social media engagement. And you're going to see more of that in the future. They love the engagement. And that's why they did it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it because we're going to go through the show now. I was vehemently against. I understand why. I'm not a dummy, but I am vehemently against just leaving something like that off the show. I gave a plethora of reasons as to why they probably did what they did and then saved it afterwards, but I didn't really like that they ended the show the way that they did, and then we got that after the fact, but we'll get into it. The ratings for Saturday night actually came in 1.5 million viewers on NBC and a 0.42 rating in the 18 to 49 demo. And then Jimmy Traina of Sports Illustrated saying that the viewership between NBC and Peacock is around 2.3 million. So the show obviously was down from the last special that they did back in 2008, which had 2.35 million viewers, but that was to be expected. But I look at that as a success, Jason, as far as the rating for the show. And if, like Bully Ray says, it was one big infomercial, and people were really sucked in by what they got, and this is going to be the way forward for Saturday night, I think that they definitely are onto something with the revitalization of the show.
Well, they basically got what the really successful episodes of SmackDown were doing on Fox.
Yeah.
You know, when they would trot out a major bloodline angle, they were doing around 2.5 million viewers, maybe a little less. So I don't know what their expectations were internally, but when you combine the numbers between Peacock and NBC, I would call it a success. It's funny, I was going to tune into Peacock. So I started with Peacock, and then I don't know if I was the only one. It was like buffering and glitching out on me, and I never have any issues with Peacock, so I had to switch over to NBC. But I was wondering how many people watched on Peacock, because I'm just so used to watching all the PLEs on there. I was just like, well, I'll just watch it on there. So 700,000 people. Again, is that more or less than what they were expecting? I don't know, but they had almost 2.5 million people watching on a Saturday night. I'd say that's pretty good.
I think it is good. I actually watched on Peacock. It was the only thing I would say that was different is that they had a little block of commercial, and then they go to a black screen. You know, we'll be right back, and you know they put that graphic up. But then most of the time, it would be like a second or two late when they get back into the action, where on network television, they probably just seamlessly go right into it after the commercial break. It was almost like Michael Cole was mid-sentence when they came back. So I stayed with Peacock just because that's what I know. So I wanted to give it a shot there, but nothing out of the norm there as far as Peacock and the way that you are viewing the show. But the opening match was Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn. Now, I thought this was a great match. We've seen a lot better from them. And I do believe whatever they got going on is not finished by a long shot yet. But I wish this went another 6 or 7 minutes, Jason. I mean, what these guys were cooking up, I'm like, I'm into this. Crowd was hot. And it ended like in 10 minutes or so, I guess, which was more than enough than we really needed for this type of show with everything else that was on it. But I could have watched these guys go another 10 minutes, 15 minutes. That's how great they are. They work great together. Crowd was hot. And Drew McIntyre got the win, which I think everybody assumed, being that he's just gotten back to television, he's not going to suffer a loss coming back after that Hell in a Cell match with CM Punk. I thought that was a great opening match, but I would love to see more of what these two guys could do together.
They had a good match. The funny thing is that match really didn't have to be on the show. And so if you wanted to get more time to the other matches, on all the title matches, this is the match that should have been cut. This match was not originally supposed to be on the show anyway. Originally, the plan was Seth Rollins against Bronson Reed. Reed got hurt. They were going to blow off their feud there, and so this match took its place. But really, this didn't have to be on the show. And so if it wasn't, you could have allotted more time to some of the other matches, but it was one of the better matches on the show. It was very straightforward. You know, Drew gets a clean win over Sami. Like you said, they've had better before, but it was good.
We had Liv Morgan successfully retain the Women's World Championship against Io Sky. And this was okay. It wasn't offensive in any way. I feel like Liv Morgan usually gets a lot of flack. I've called it out. Her offense looks a little shoddy here and there. It's not as impactful as you would compare it to someone like Io's offense, but the match was not bad by any stretch of the imagination. I feel like with the outcome, Jason, a lot of people were like, oh, a title change should happen here, and Io should win the championship. And, you know, a lot of people were upset that she didn't get the championship off of Liv Morgan. But I think a lot of these people live in their own worlds, and a lot of people don't really understand the concept of a story. It was never about Io winning the championship. She's not a part of the story between Liv and Rhea Ripley. It's always been about Rhea Ripley winning that championship, as we will discuss when we get to Monday Night Raw. why were people so upset about this? And could this show have used a title change on Saturday night?
Yes. Although if you gave me the option, it would have been in the main event. I predicted an EO win just because I was hoping more than anything else that, maybe they would shake things up by putting the title on her, having Rhea get involved if Raquel had gotten involved, which she didn't. And then you can still blow off Rhea and Liv on January 6th, and then build to Rhea kind of her voyage to WrestleMania, and that's how we get Rhea and EO. Just because I would love to see that match. Realistically, though, yes, Liv wasn't realistically going to lose the title unless she lost it to Rhea Ripley. So I wasn't, angry or overly disappointed in the outcome. We also don't see EO stumble too often. And just to give credit to Liv, there was a spot late in the match where EO was going for a springboard move off the ropes and she slipped. And to her credit, Liv, very smooth, just I think she transitioned right into a code breaker. And then shortly thereafter is where they did the finish. I thought she broke her nose. When they showed that slow-mo replay of that knee she took to the face, holy shit.
Yeah, that was bad.
That looked brutal. Not Seth Rollins kneeing John Cena in the face brutal, but it was still, looked brutal. So she's very fortunate that she came out of that match without any, broken bones or anything like that. Yeah, it was I think a decent match, not anything great. And it was all to set up the confrontation that we got after, between Rhea and Liv. That's really the key match. And so they wanted Rhea to at least get some face time on the show, and it accomplished its goal.
Yeah, and Liv could use a last supper, I would say, last victory before she drops that championship to Rhea Ripley, which I'm predicting on January 6th. I know we talked about that already. I think that's going to happen on January 6th. So, yes, we're going to get a new Women's World Champion sooner rather than later, and I think it's time. It's time for that story and that title reign to be over. We got the Men's World Heavyweight Championship. We got Gunther, Damian Priest, and Finn Balor in a triple threat match. As far as match of the night, I would probably give this one and have this one edge out. I would say Cody and Kevin Owens. I thought what these three guys did was very good for a nationally televised triple threat match. It wasn't too long. It didn't overstay its welcome. Gunther was coming on in here vastly different than going into his match with Damian Priest at SummerSlam. He was very confident going into that match. Damian Priest had all the tension in the Judgment Day. As you guys seen what happened at SummerSlam, Finn Balor turned on him. Dominic and Liv betrayed Rhea. And then going into Survivor Series, Gunther was the one who was lacking self-confidence because he lost to Cody Rhodes after he put down Cody Rhodes, saying that he was going to make him the secondary champion. He lost the Crown Jewel Championship match. And he's been suffering self-confidence issues ever since then. And he comes out on top here, Jason. And I think beating both Finn Balor and Damian Priest in a triple threat match is going to give that man back his confidence that he seemingly had lost. So I thought what they did here was great. And Gunther still is the World Heavyweight Champion and should be the World Heavyweight Champion going into WrestleMania.
Yeah, no surprise here. I don't know that anybody realistically expected him to not come out of the show with the championship. And kudos to him because he saved Damian Priest on what could have been a scary spot there at the end with that powerbomb outside. His legs are just so damn long. It just clipped the stairs. But he muscled him back up, powerbombed him. I'll tell you what, from that spot forward, there was a sense of urgency behind what he was doing. That shotgun drop kick he gave Balor, knocked him into another dimension. And then the powerbomb in the stack. And I love that somebody has brought back the powerbomb as a finish. It used to be a finish for some guys, and now it's just become another move. But it's nice to see someone actually win matches with it. So, yeah, best match of the night, just from an in-ring perspective. And Balor and Priest, obviously, their issues are not yet done. Gunther now can move on to whoever is going to be next for him, which is a little less certain. And they didn't give any indication on Raw last night. He wasn't even on the show. I don't know that we're going to see him again, even maybe until the beginning of the year. But this was the best thing in-ring-wise in the entire show.
I will certainly give my take on that, as I talked about it last night on my Raw post show. Gunther, I don't think will be... he'll probably be at the Raw show on January 6th, but he's not going to have a match. I say his next title defense will be at the Royal Rumble, but we'll save that for when we discuss Raw. And like you mentioned, he did save Damian Priest, and Sapp had a note on that on Fightful Select saying that Gunther received a lot of praise backstage for saving the end spot of the triple threat match. at Saturday night's main event. So it could have been bad, and going through as a professional, which I'm not surprised by. But yes, that was a great match, and another one I hope ends very soon. Priest and Balor, I hope that they both move on to something new going into WrestleMania. I don't know how long we can keep that going, but I think by the time we get to this transfer window, I think one is definitely going to be on the opposite brand, and they will be separated. So we will see how all that plays out, because Balor lost everything, and he's not really the leader that he's been portraying himself to be. So hopefully this ends very quickly. Then we got Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green and Mia Yim for the Women's United States Championship. First time ever crowning a new Women's United States Champion. And on Long Island, because she has ties to her husband, who is from Long Island, Mr. Matt Cardona, she wins the United States Championship, a title that he's also synonymous with. And a lot of people enjoyed this, Jason. The ending was great. The Unprettier flowed over off the top rope, got her the win. The ending was a lot better than everything else that we saw in the match, but I think one thing is universally said by everybody, including what we do here. I know I said it, I know you said it, a lot of people said it, that Chelsea has gotten herself over to a point where it just feels natural, it feels organic. She hasn't, or at least from what I see and what I read every day, hasn't been a individual that complains about what she has to do. She goes out there and does it to the best of her ability. She just takes what she's given and she makes it work. And through hard work and not complaining and being a model employee, here we have the new United States champion in Chelsea Green. And I would usually say, you know, Mia, she doesn't deserve it. I don't know how the title reign's going to go. But as for a first-time champion, man, out of all the people on that roster that I think deserve a chance, she deserves a chance, and this is very well deserved.
Yeah, it was an average match with a great finish, and you heard the reaction from the crowd. I mean, they were excited to see her win. It was interesting seeing her in the ring with Nick Aldis. You know, Aldis raising her hand because there's some history there going back to their days together in TNA. So I thought it was very appropriate. And yeah, I mean, this is a woman who, for a while there, was plagued by injury issues. She had, multiple surgeries on, I think, both of her wrists. And it just felt like she was having trouble staying healthy. She got cut a number of years ago, and she's a go-getter. She basically forced her way back into the company. Texting Triple H and looking for an opportunity and not taking no for an answer. And you see, like you just said, she's willing to take whatever they give them and turn it into something. And so she's slowly gotten herself over where when she comes out, because I think people just find her entertaining. And to see her get that moment was very cool. I think that it's an appropriate vehicle for her to have that championship. She wasn't going to be the women's world champion. She just doesn't fit into that picture right now. So this is where these mid-card women's titles could be a benefit to the people who hold them. We'll see, because it has to be supported by creative. So she can only do so much. She can only do what she can with what she's given. It's going to be up to Triple H and the creative team to, build stories around these women in these championships. I hope that they do. I hope that it works. And I hope we're not sitting here in 6 months on TNT talking about, man, I wish they would just abolish these titles. I don't want to be sitting here talking about them the way that we talk about the women's tag team titles.
No, and you're exactly correct. It's all about the creative, which is why I raised the point on Saturday night when I reviewed the show. I said, even though Chelsea deserves it, is she going to be the woman that is going to take this championship to where it needs to be right out of the gate? I figured WWE would go with somebody a little bit more established that has some championship, experience behind them, like a Bayley or someone along those lines. But Chelsea's never held the championship in WWE. Is she the right one from that perspective? And then you mentioned creative. She can be that person if creative is behind it and we get some solid stories and some solid feuds around that championship. But if they don't, then the championship's not going to look good. Chelsea's not going to look good, and it's going to be a really sour turn as far as what the fans think of these championships. So yes, it's all falling in the lap of Triple H. So hopefully he has really understood where he needs to go with this. I don't really have, and I love Triple H, don't get me wrong, but I just don't really have any faith because of what we've seen in the past. I just don't have any faith.
Yeah, I mean, time will tell. But for the time being, anyway, it made for a great moment for her. Yeah, she came out. She had, what was it, like little versions of her all over her gear?
Mini Chelsea's all over her outfit, yeah.
Mini Chelsea's all over her hat and all over her gear. And No, it was good. It was good. We didn't get any title changes on the show, but we did have a new champion crowned at least.
We did. I wish we had a new world champion crowned, but that was not the case. But there is something brewing there with Mr. Kevin Owens, who's been right every step of the way.
Well, I got to say, you look over my shoulder here.
Yep.
And that to me was the other than Jesse, that was the other big highlight and thrill of Saturday for me.
How perfect does that belt fit in the current landscape of WWE? It fits like a glove.
It's perfect. And I say that with the full recognition because I knew it as soon as I laid eyes on it on Saturday that's a freaking replica of WWE shop. Okay, yes. So I was a little disappointed in that because it's just so obvious. I'm like, come on. Like, I don't know when they finalized the idea, like, okay, we're going to do this. I'm not saying they knew they were going to do this for months, but like, how difficult would it have been, to either have one made or just, even if it had the old block logo on, like, just, they have them laying around a warehouse somewhere. So yeah, they just took a replica off WWE shop, but even a replica off WWE shop, like when he walked out with it, like you said, it looked natural, and that, like, I look at that, I go, that's what a championship should look like. Like if I were standing across the ring from Cody Rhodes and I was going to fight my ass off and put my ass on the line here for a championship, that's the kind of title I would put my ass on the line for.
Yeah, a lot of people were, oh, man, it's overrated. I don't know what people see in it. A lot of people pinpointed that it wasn't the real championship because it had the WWE logo at the top of the belt. I understand it. And
that didn't bother me.
I'm wondering how much the original belt is. Do they still have it in the vault? I'm assuming, right?
I'm sure they have multiple ones.
Yeah.
They had well more than one made. So they have at least some ring-worn belts that are just sitting around in the vault somewhere. I mean, it would be very easy for them to just pluck one of them out and use it on TV. But maybe they didn't want to because the plates are outdated and they want the newer logo. But so make one. This company is worth billions of dollars. You can't make one fucking belt for a television angle that clearly is not going to be one night only.
No.
Right? Okay. So, I mean, come on, pony up some cash here and have the real deal made.
But I guess we as fans should not complain. I mean, we never even thought that we would be here talking about this belt being on television in any way at all. So replica or not, it's back. The likeness of it is back on TV, and it's going to play a big part in what we're seeing right now with this storyline. The main event, I gotta call this out. The main event did not get started until 9:47 p.m. I have a problem with that. This match was hyped and built very heavily on television leading up to this show. And for the simple fact that it only got televised maybe 9 minutes or so, I mean, that's a fucking problem to me. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I don't know how Jason feels about it, but this should have been at least given 20 minutes. 20 minutes easy.
Well, look, you know what? It didn't even need 20. Yeah, if you give them 15. But that was the point I made earlier, where you had more than one match. Even the main event last night, I think, was almost 20 minutes long. So, and both these shows were 2 hours. It's not like, well, Raw's 3 hours, so you can... No, Raw's still 2 hours for now. They were both 2-hour shows. And so there was no reason why at least the main event couldn't have been longer than it was. But to go back to what I said before, it wasn't about putting on long, classic matches. It was to just give the fans just enough and just do what you needed to do and get out of there before you had that hard cutoff at 10 p.m. Because, of course, we have to show an old version of Saturday Night Live at 10 o'clock, which is what they aired, right? I mean, I don't know. I didn't watch the episode, so I don't know how old the episode was, but I know it was a rerun, right, of a past show. And
is that what they did? I thought people were telling me it was the local news. Oh, they had a hard cutoff because of the local news. I'm like, what?
Well, I mean, the local news, I'm pretty sure the local news here on Channel 4, NBC, is 11. And usually the local news at 11 leads into SNL at 11:35.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So
I mean, they showed a rerun of Saturday Night Live, and they couldn't show. They couldn't do fucking 10 minutes of this storyline at the end of the show.
I mean, that's what the schedule showed. I think it was a rerun of SNL, I believe, unless it was different in different markets.
That's ridiculous. Anyway, the match itself was fine for television standards. I mean, the last time that they wrestled was Bash in Berlin, correct? I thought they fucking killed it there. That was a great match. They sold the knee, Cody's leg, and Kevin Owens didn't take advantage of that.
Well, that was the whole thing. The story there was that they were still friends, and Owens didn't even want the match. He didn't think he deserved it. It was Cody who actually got the match, even though KO was like, nah, you see my win-loss record this year. I really don't deserve it. And he saw an opportunity and he didn't take it. And that's what happens. When you don't take an opportunity, it comes back to bite you. And then it starts to eat away at you. And that's how we started to see shades of the old Kevin Owens. The Kevin Owens we see now is the Kevin Owens that we saw when he came into NXT in 2014.
That was a great Kevin Owens.
Yes. Take no prisoners. You do whatever it takes to win. There was nothing nice about him. He wasn't a nice guy. This is more in line with that version of Kevin Owens that got over when he first came in, and the one that came to the main roster and beat John Cena in his first match.
I love it. I love this version of Kevin Owens. This match was good for TV standards, like I said. Cody got the win. When a steel chair got involved, we had 2 referee bumps. The first referee got taken out. Then we had the second referee get taken out on a crossbody inadvertently. And then the original referee, which I believe was Charles Robinson, made a count from the outside as he came to after he seen Cody pinning Kevin Owens just to get to 1, 2, 3. Jesse Ventura flipping his shit. Cody cheated. He used the steel chair. It was great. Then the show went off the air. Cody sent everybody home happy. Jason and I both went live. And as we were going live, setting up our streams, that's when everything kind of broke down and really devolved into what I wish was really the end of the show. Now, post-match, Kevin Owens attacked Cody Rhodes. And the pile driver came into play again, but this time it was not a safe pile driver like we saw on Randy Orton. This was a fucking Kevin Steen package pile driver, and it was brutal. And Cody was laid out. He stole the Winged Eagle Championship. Triple H and Kevin Owens then proceeded to get into a shoving match. Triple H even knocked the belt out of his hand at one point, and Cody was taken out of the building on a gurney and loaded into an ambulance, where we saw last night on Raw, Joe Tessitore said that there were cervical injuries, but there was no fracture, and he will be at home recovering through the holiday season, which we'll talk about when we get to the Raw discussion. This attack, Jason, I loved how everything played out. I thought it was great. I thought they protected Kevin Owens. I think it adds just another layer to the Kevin Owens character that we see developing on TV. I'm loving everything about this. I said this multiple times in the last couple of weeks. This is the story that we needed for Cody Rhodes because he's such a great storyteller. Kevin Owens is a great storyteller. We didn't even get this level of Cody Rhodes going into WrestleMania when he was challenging Roman Reigns for the championship. I think The Rock made him look like a bitch, and both Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes look like bitches next to Cody Rhodes, or next to The Rock and Roman Reigns. They did not look good at all. Cody, this is the best Cody's looked. This is the best Cody has sounded. He's angry. He's taking shortcuts to win. Kevin Owens is documented every which way in which he's right. And the best thing about this storyline is, from a human being perspective, the heel in this is genuinely Cody Rhodes. The babyface in this is Kevin Owens. WWE wants to portray Cody as the champion, and he's the babyface, and he's the one the kids and the families come out to see. He's the guy that they program you to cheer for. And Kevin Owens is the guy that they program you to boo. But as a human being, you're watching this, as we're both adults here. How could you not look at Kevin Owens as the babyface in this? After Saturday night and after everything that he did, I don't blame him one single bit as to why he did what he did on Saturday night.
Well, his whole argument is, how can you stand next to a guy at Bad Blood that has made all of their lives a living hell for the last 3.5 years? And Cody hasn't really had a good answer for that.
No.
He didn't really have a good response. But in the eyes of WWE, Cody's the good guy, because all the fans started chanting OTC at Roman Reigns when he came back and cheering him like he was a hero, even though Roman Reigns, as Drew McIntyre has said, hasn't changed. Why are they cheering him all of a sudden? He came back exactly the same guy he was in April. But because the fans cheer for him and they like him and they think he's cool, they continue to cheer for Cody, and they don't see anything wrong because he chose to team with Roman Reigns, and they hate Solo Sikoa. But like you said, from just a rational point of view, nothing Kevin Owens is saying is wrong. Like, he stuck his neck out. Him and Randy both stuck their necks out for Cody for a good portion of the year, and every single time they did, what happened? They got their asses kicked by the bloodline. And this is what Cody does in response to all that. So yeah, it's a weird dynamic, but I like it because you have characters here that are not black and white. You know, they're introducing shades of gray. it's, I kind of look at, there are other stories like this also. I feel like the Punk and Rollins one stands out as well, which we'll talk about. And so I like that aspect of the storytelling they're doing right now, where they're kind of, in a way, they're letting the fans choose for the time being, who they want to get behind and who they want to root for. I thought it was very interesting on Saturday as Owens was leaving with the Winged Eagle title. You could hear fans chanting, "You deserve it." Some people thought they were chanting that at Cody as he was carted off on the
it depends on who you talk to. He probably was getting some of those hecklers.
Well, it was New York, so you never know. That would just be evil. But I like that aspect to the stories that they're telling right now. It's just not it's not your simple, typical black and white hero versus villain story. And yes, Owens is not wrong in a lot of what he said. You can say he's wrong with his approach, the way he pile drove Randy Orton and then what he did to Cody when the match was over. But as Jesse pointed out on commentary, it's like, hey, even though Owens may have introduced the chair, he didn't actually use it. Cody did. He's supposed to be this good guy, and he's not above, stooping to those levels. You can find that in a lot of classic WWE baby faces. I always used to say Hulk Hogan was always a heel. Hulk Hogan was a heel masquerading as a babyface. I was too young to know it. As I have gotten older and I have gone back and watched all those matches again, it's clear as day from the eye rakes to all the other, the back scratching, the shortcuts he would take in certain matches. Hogan was a heel, but people cheered for him because they liked him. That's one thing in wrestling that just has never changed. The fans are going to cheer for who they think is cool and who they like. And even if they sometimes, do things that you would think, oh my God, how can you condone that? How can you justify that? It doesn't matter. If the people like them, they're going to get behind them. And I'll give you one more example. 2008, Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels.
One of my favorite feuds ever.
What was Jericho's whole thing? Like, this guy's lying.
Mm-hmm.
He was faking a knee injury, right? Not the first time he's done that. He's faking a knee injury. It's like, why are you people cheering for him? He's a liar. He lied to you. But they were booing Jericho and they were cheering Shawn Michaels, and that's what led to their whole feud, which was, a classic feud. It's a story as old as time, and I love it. And Owens now is in possession of the Winged Eagle title. He has changed his profile photo on Twitter to him holding, it's an old photo, but him holding the Winged Eagle title. I love it because I thought it was one and done. And clearly it's not going to be one and done. And I think as long as we keep that belt around, I'm all for it. The longer, the better.
I agree. I love the fact that we have an opportunity to see this belt continue on, at least for the next few weeks on WWE TV. And remember, guys, SmackDown is taped on Friday. They taped this show last week, and the reason why they did the angle and had Saturday night's main event go off the air the way that they did is because they needed to have Owens bridge the gap for next week's show. Now, they didn't want to give away the ending to Saturday night's main event, so they had to come up with something to give you guys on Saturday night and then be a bridge into Friday without giving away the spoiler. SmackDown crowd got to see Cody Rhodes and Owens in front of the live audience, so getting creative with their segments for the next week's show that doesn't leave the audience out in the cold. As of this weekend, the plan was to air the attack on SmackDown and have Owens in a backstage segment. We don't know when or where that was filmed. It might have been filmed on Saturday. It might have been filmed on Friday. We don't know, but everything that you're going to see on Friday is going to be in the aftermath of what happened with Kevin Owens here with Cody Rhodes. Now, the big question is, Jason, I've been very vehement about how I would have ended the show if I had the pen. We went over the social media numbers, 45 million on social media across all their social media platforms with the footage of this attack. If you had the pen, would you have ended the show with this post-match attack, or would you have saved it for social media? Because I feel like a big show returning with such fanfare and with such history behind it, I feel like WWE has played it safe. Triple H has played it safe going into Crown Jewel. He's played it safe going into Survivor Series and coming out of Survivor Series. And he played it safe once again coming out of Saturday night's main event, and they're saving all of their cards for Monday night, January 6th. Would it have killed him to end the show on a menacing, brutal, just, oh my God, I can't wait to tune into Friday Night SmackDown type of cliffhanger? instead of going off the air with the babyface conquering the heel and showing off the title and then goodbye, hard stop at 10 o'clock. How would you have booked this, and did they do the right thing?
I mean, it's not a matter of whether or not they did the right thing. It's not going to hurt the angle doing it the way that they did. If it were me, I think the best cliffhanger for the show to keep people going, oh my God, I can't believe what I just saw, I better tune in to the next show, would be to air the package pile driver and maybe air up until the point where Owens held up the Winged Eagle title. You go off the air at that point, so you give it a little time to breathe, right? He grabs the title, he holds it up, you go off the air. You could still shoot post-match footage of Owens leaving and getting into a shoving match with Triple H, because that got a lot of people talking too.
Yeah.
And that could have been, that coupled with the footage of Cody being wheeled out to the ambulance and to the hospital, that could have been your post-match exclusive footage that gets shared all over social media. Right, but the big thing being, oh my God, Triple H came out when the show was over and he got into a little tussle with Kevin Owens. That's how I would have done it. So you get the best of both. You get to air the main portion of the angle and get people talking and excited to see what's going to happen on SmackDown, but you give them a little bit more when you go off the air just to keep people talking. I would have split the baby, and that's what I would have done.
Yeah, I'm actually quite sad we didn't get to hear how Jesse would have reacted to the pile driver and Kevin Owens holding up the championship as the show went off the air, or Michael Cole just losing his mind. I felt like there was just a big part of it missing. Like, we saw the footage and we didn't hear anything. It was just the footage and the attack, and then
but that's fine though. I don't think you know what. Even if they would have aired that on TV, I don't even know that you needed commentary for that. It could have been a case where the commentators had already taken off their headsets, and then you shoot the angle. Sometimes you don't need commentary for everything and somebody screaming over it. Like, sometimes it's more effective to just, let it, like, hear the natural reaction from the crowd, whether it's shock or anger, whatever it may be. So that didn't bother me. It's not like, oh man, this really needed commentary. I don't think it did. Like, that part of it didn't really bother me.
Yeah, I could see that being the case. I guess, I like what I like. It's more of a, JD wants what JD wants type of thing. But I would have absolutely ended at least part of that, like you said, part of that to go off the air. I thought that would have been a great way to close Saturday night. And now he's got possession of the Winged Eagle. And we're not going to be seeing the end of the Winged Eagle because he is carrying around, like you said, he made his profile picture on X, him holding the Winged Eagle Championship. And apparently Kevin Owens will be in possession of this all throughout WWE's holiday tour. He took to Twitter today to declare that he would be wrestling at these upcoming events as the true WWE champion with the Winged Eagle title. He wrote, "Balls. Now I have your attention. I have great news for you all. I am proud to officially announce that I will be competing in my first matches as your new true WWE champion on this year's holiday loop." That's a term that people in the business use that refers to a string of consecutive shows, yada, yada, yada. Starting in Jacksonville on the 26th, followed by 3 more shows in Florida, then one in Detroit for some reason. Be there to witness history. Oh, the Raw crew has shows too. Whatever. End quote. So,
did you notice in the image that he put a Christmas tree over CM Punk's face?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And
I'm hoping that's a little.
And he photoshopped himself on Kevin Owens' body with the road, didn't he?
Well, on Cody's body, yeah. Because I think we were talking about this previously. Like, in 2025, at some point, I'm hoping that we get Owens and Punk in a program. And so maybe that was a little nod to what's to come in the future. But yeah, I think it's great. I think this whole angle, I mean, we'll see where it actually goes. I remember the angle they did in the summer of Punk in WWE in 2011. And I was like, man, this is great. Because he was threatening to take the title to Ring of Honor and New Japan. And he was going to take it everywhere with him. And then he was back on TV like a week later. And I was like, man, what a wasted opportunity. He could have taken that championship everywhere. So I'm hoping this time that Owens does. He has the belt everywhere he goes. He's like defending it, or at least bringing it with him to the live events when he's there wrestling, because this could be a lot of fun until they're ready to bring Cody back. He could walk around proclaiming himself to be the uncrowned WWE champion, and not unlike Punk when he came back to AEW and spray painted the X over the AEW title. And he was like, I'm the champion. That was a little bit different because nobody had actually beaten him for the belt. But he had his belt and he was going to go around and defend his title. So this could be a lot of fun if they take the time to really play it out and not, feel like they have to blow it off right away. And then when Cody comes back, you have kind of the battle between the two quote unquote champions. And we get to find out in the blow off match between them who the real champion is.
Now, that's my next question here. I know commentary on Monday Night Raw said that Cody is going to be resting at home and he'll be back when he's back. So we don't know exactly when he's back, but he did take a more devastating pile driver than Randy Orton on Saturday night. So I'm assuming he's going to be out for the rest of the year. And Jason and I were discussing in the sound check of this show that the holiday loop has Cody Rhodes' image all over it. So do they want to advertise Cody Rhodes for these shows and then go and sell this injury and this pile driver and then not put him on these shows? I know the Madison Square Garden show is a yearly tradition for them. Are they really going to do that without Cody Rhodes, where I'm assuming a lot of people are going to be showing up to watch Cody Rhodes and bring the family to go see Cody Rhodes defend the WWE Championship? Now, as far as the story is concerning, I feel like January 6th is not the right place to do it. I've seen a lot of people like, let's put that on Monday night, January 6th in Los Angeles on Netflix. I don't think that's the right way to go about it, because that show right now has Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. We're going to talk about Seth Rollins and CM Punk. That's rumored to be the main event. We have Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan speculating that's going to take place on that show. We have the Women's Intercontinental Championship, which is in the news. The plan is for that final to take place on that show. And who else knows what's going to be on that show? I would not put another major World Heavyweight Championship match on that show. I think it's probably going to get overshadowed by everything else. Rock's going to be there potentially, John Cena. I feel like Royal Rumble is the best place to do it, Jason. I think Cody comes back on January 6th or that week on SmackDown. We start selling it for the next 4 or 5 weeks going into February. Like you said, both championships on the line. Who is the real world champion? Could we potentially see a Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon situation between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens for both championships hanging in the balance in a ladder match? How do you see this thing playing out? Because that's exactly what I pitched on Saturday night.
You could do that. I wouldn't just assume it would be the Royal Rumble, because a week before the Rumble, you have the next Saturday night's main event, and they're going to need a main event for that show as well. So to me, it's one of those two shows. It almost doesn't even matter because they're a week apart. But yeah, I mean, I think a match of some kind, whether it's a ladder match or not, to just settle once and for all. Cody can have his belt and Owens can bring the Winged Eagle with him, and then Cody gets the win, because I don't think anybody at this point, if he didn't win it on Saturday, I don't think that too many people are going to give Kevin Owens a chance, let's say at the Rumble, to get his win over Cody Rhodes. This was his win over Cody Rhodes. And I know that upsets some people. I made a comment on my show about how this run here that he's about to go on, however long it is basically his championship run. And some people were upset and said, no, it's not the same thing. He needs to win the title. Well, look, if it were up to me, I would have had the balls to put the belt on him officially, since apparently Cody's going to be gone for a while anyway. But this is the approach they chose to take with it, because they wanted to do the angle in the match the way that they did. They're telling a story here where Cody took a shortcut to win, and that's going to play into things. And Owens can come out on TV and say, see, he cheated. And so that's why they had to do it the way they did it, if that's the story they're going to tell. If it were me, I would have done the title change. Kevin Owens is not going to win the WWE Championship in this feud. It's just not going to happen. But if he holds that title for the next 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and he goes around defending it or just carrying it around with him, he basically is the de facto champion right now. He's going to be the face of SmackDown until either Cody or Randy, whichever one comes back first, is back on the show. He's still in a great position, but when the match happens, he's going to lose. And sadly, we probably will not see the Winged Eagle belt at that point. You know what I'm hoping? I'm hoping the longer this belt sticks around, like even the newer fans kind of fall in love with it. And they're like, no, we don't want to see it go. And maybe they'll figure out a way, like, all right, how can we keep this title around in some way? Like, I know it's not going to happen, but like, I'm kind of hoping against hope. The longer it sticks around, maybe people will, you know how vocal they can be on social media. And we know Triple H is on his burners every friggin' day, probably browsing around social media. So I'm not ready to give up hope completely just yet. But yeah, I mean, a ladder match would certainly make sense if they, wanted to have the current title and the Eagle hanging above the ring, you could do that. And Rumble's a big show. They already have, I think, 45,000 tickets sold, and they're still, 6 weeks away?
Yep.
Yeah. So, that's going to be a huge show. I don't think you close the show with it. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, do you end the show with it? I guess you could. They ended the Rumble last year.
Well, when do we see Randy Orton? Do we see Randy Orton on January 6th? Do we see Randy Orton before the Royal Rumble? Do they keep him out that long?
I can't imagine we don't get Orton back that far. That far into the future. He has to be back before then. Especially like you said, Cody took a more devastating pile driver. What sense would it make for him to be back before Randy?
Yeah.
What does that say about Randy? So I think Randy is back before Cody. That's my prediction.
Okay.
But then if that's the case, how do you work that? Like, do you do Orton against Owens first? Is that the Saturday night's main event match?
That's the twist.
Yeah,
we don't know.
There you go.
Who's actually there are Kevin Owens fans that are upset at you about what you said there, just giving you your truthful, honest opinion. Why would they be upset at that? This man gets to carry around the most iconic championship in the history of the fucking company for the next 6 weeks.
Yeah, no shit.
Who cares, man? If I'm Kevin Owens, I'm fucking over the moon happy about this shit.
Oh, I'm sure Kevin Owens is living a dream right now. My God, imagine like if you're a longtime fan, which I know he is, and they tell you, hey, we're going to do this angle where you're going to take the champion out of commission. You get to use your package pile driver for the first time in a decade. And you're going to take the Winged Eagle belt and claim it for yourself and walk around with it for the next 6 weeks. Like, he's got to be shitting a brick. Like, if you're a longtime fan, what a dream story that is. No, they were upset just about, like, they really want Owens to have a proper run. It's been 7 or 8 years since he's been the Universal Champion. They feel like he should have been champion by now. And this was his chance. His character is firing on all cylinders right now. He's in one of the top story. He is in the top story, really, outside the Bloodline stuff. And they felt like it was now was the time. And they didn't do it. And he can run around with a fake belt, some fake replica belt that isn't the real WWE title, but it's not the same. And I get that, but I think you got to look at the bigger picture here. And the bigger picture is that he is in a great spot right now. And he's going to run around as the de facto champion for several weeks, and he's going to be in the same spot he would have been in had he won the title. So I can't bring myself to get too upset about it. It's not the finish I would have done, but I love what they're doing. They took a different approach to it, and I think it works.
All we know is television is going to be great, starting at the Raw Netflix show and then moving on into the Royal Rumble. We are setting ourselves up for some really great storytelling. So I don't think people should really start complaining about what we didn't get, what we did get. I would have done things just a little differently as far as the ending, but outside that, I think the overall storyline with Owens and Cody is working brilliantly. I love it. I think KO looks and feels great as a character on TV. Cody being out with the pile driver, Randy Orton, and the factor that he's going to play coming back. We don't know which way he's going to swing. Is he going to be pro-Cody? Is he going to be anti-Cody? We don't really know. A lot of it is what exactly Cody needed and SmackDown needed. And SmackDown is going to look a lot different when all three guys are really focused on anyway. When they get back on television in the new year, SmackDown is going to look vastly different with the trade window. So we don't know what SmackDown is going to look like. But I thought it was a success on Saturday night. Loved everything about the nostalgic feel. I would have loved more wrestling on the show, but hopefully they kind of fix that as the quarters go on and we get the next show and we get a little bit more wrestling on that show and maybe a little bit more wrestling on the next show after that.
Yeah. Something I think people also forget, if you look back at the history of Saturday night's main event was not known for having all these classic matches. It really wasn't. It was more about the angles that were shot on the show. And that's another reason why I would have aired at least part of that angle.
Yeah.
Because that's really what the show, like what I remember the show for. It's not like, oh my God, I can give you a list of the top 25 greatest matches in, Saturday night's main event history. I could, but that's not really what the show was known for. So it's not as if, they betrayed the history of not really, that it was a means to set up major angles that would feed into SummerSlam or would feed into WrestleMania or Survivor Series. That was really the purpose of the show. And so likewise, what did this show do? It fed into, whatever's going to happen on January 6th and whatever's going to happen heading into the Royal Rumble. It was very Saturday night's main event like in that way. I just wish there were, a couple of important things that would have happened on the show, and they just chose to play it safer than I would have. And that's the second event in a row that Triple H did that. He did the same thing as Survivor Series. Played it very safe. Because I think they're saving their heavy artillery for January 6th.
Well, he needs to unload on January 6th, for sure.
Yeah. He's going to unload. He's gonna be dropping all kinds of loads on January 6th. That's what he's gonna be doing.
He's got to. I don't want to. No more playing it safe from that point on, man. Seriously, I love that he's patient with everything and lets things breathe. But it comes to a point where it's like, all right, man, can I get a little bite of the fucking pizza, please? I don't want the whole fucking thing. I just want a bite. But no, he's got his methods, and January 6th is what they're shaping up for. So, going from Saturday night into Monday, we start Monday off with CM Punk, and he's cutting a promo on Seth Rollins after what we got the week prior, where basically Punk said, I did everything that Rollins has done before him and better. And obviously they've been going back and forth on this, and he came out last night and compared Seth Rollins to Elton John. Because Rollins wore Elton John glasses doesn't make Seth Rollins Elton John. He said that he comes out and he tiptoes in his clogs like the purple pie man of Porcupine Peak. I'm sure that's well before my time. I had no fucking idea what he was talking about.
I got the Liberace reference, but I didn't get that reference, so that was over my head.
He dressed like Liberace, and for all the sensitive people, he said that's not an insult towards Liberace, because I thought Liberace was cool as hell. So he goes on and on about Rollins as Punk, and eventually fans start chanting CM Punk, because Punk is kind of egging them on, and he says that he knows Rollins hates that, and he's anticipating his stupid, silly music hitting and interrupting. And then all of a sudden during the CM Punk chants, Rollins comes out and he starts chanting along with all the fans, and he comes down and he's not dressed goofy. He's not dressed all silly in his usual outlandish outfits. He looked more like Messiah Seth Rollins with the straight black leather jacket. And he's out there and he's basically calling Punk an asshole. And Punk said he was glad Rollins didn't come out to his stupid song. Punk said Rollins was where he belonged with the rest of the CM Punk fans. Rollins says, I'm not embarrassed to be with the fans. I was a fan. I am a fan. And when you left 7 years ago, you wanted this place to die without you. And Rollins says he put it on his back and made it stronger than ever. Rollins says he has more WrestleMania main events than CM Punk ever will. And that is a fact, Phil, which then kind of was the bell ringing, and we got a big brawl, big pull-apart brawl, which started in the crowd, ended up by commentary, and then both guys end up back in the crowd. There was a big pull-apart brawl, which this ended, and Adam Pearce Jason finally made it official. It will be CM Punk and Seth Rollins on January 6th on Netflix. I know we talked about this last week. This was in the reports and in the news by Chris Featherstone of Sportskeeda, and he called this, predicted it, he reported on it. This is obviously the right move for this, and I know you talked about it as well as I did. This does not mean that Punk is not going to have Rollins as his WrestleMania opponent. A lot of people are like, oh, what happens to Punk after this January 6th show? Are they just going to do one and done? Are they going to be ending this? This is clearly the start of a multi-match series between these two, and I don't think fans should be concerned about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like we had a multi-match series in 2022 with Cody and Seth. You know, we have 3 matches between them. This is the beginning of that, and I don't know if we go straight from this to Mania, where, it's 2 matches maybe instead of 3, but it's not one and done. I mean, please, this was going to be the WrestleMania match this year. This is far too big to blow it off on January 6th and then not go back to it. So it's the beginning of something much longer. For the time being, again, they're allowing the fans to choose sides. They're really not leaning too heavily in one direction or the other, where this guy is the perceived villain here, because again, they both make very salient points about the other. I do think that in the end, by the time we get to WrestleMania, I do think there'll be one clearly defined heel and one clearly defined babyface, and that heel is going to be Seth Rollins. Like if it gets to that, it's not going to be Punk who's going into that match, the second match or third as the heel. It's going to be Rollins.
Now, as usual, I'm going to pass the question to you if you have the pen. Who wins this match on January 6th? Because I said CM Punk is going to win. And then we talked about it briefly. We mentioned it in passing what Gunther does going into Royal Rumble. I think Punk wins, and I think Punk gets Gunther at the Royal Rumble for the World Heavyweight Championship.
I think that, see, I was almost leaning more in the direction of not getting a clean winner. But if you're going to have to set up a number one contender for Gunther, which you have to do for the Rumble, I can't come up with a name that makes sense other than Punk or Rollins, frankly. I mean, wouldn't it almost have to be one of those two?
It has to be one or the other, yeah.
There's nobody else that's been set up, obvious. I certainly don't want them to do fucking Damian Priest again. Like that's got to be done. That's got to be over now. Because those guys wrestled at SummerSlam and then Survivor Series and then, Saturday night. So there really is no other obvious choice but Rollins or Punk. So yeah, I mean, I would agree. I would think that Punk would win the first match. And then I guess my question would be, does Rollins factor into the Punk Gunther match at the Rumble? And is that where we get a more clearly defined heel Seth Rollins?
Yes. I mean, I don't want to say it's going to be one way over the other. I mean, it could very well be Rollins winning the first match and he gets Gunther at Royal Rumble. We don't really know, but I think with Punk already making, his presence known as far as the World Championship, I beat McIntyre. That's where I'm going next. And then he got involved with Paul Heyman and the Bloodline and War Games, and now he's got Rollins. I'm assuming he's going to take care of Rollins and then get his World Championship match. I do think Rollins gets involved in that Gunther Punk match, if that is the match at the Royal Rumble. And then I do think Punk costs Rollins his shot in the Royal Rumble. Like, I don't know if Punk is going to be in the Royal Rumble. Traditionally, if you're getting a championship match, you should not be in the Royal Rumble. So I think Punk, after losing, kind of finds his way into the Rumble and eliminates Rollins. And I mentioned this before, a la Brett and Steve Austin in 98. I don't know if they'll take a page out of that, but I do think Punk will cost Rollins his elimination in some way, shape, or form. And then we build towards the Elimination Chamber where both guys will probably be in the chamber. They won't win. And whatever comes out of that will get the final match at WrestleMania.
Or does Rollins win the first match and then gets the shot at Gunther and beats Gunther to become champion? Punk then wins the Rumble and you set up a rematch for WrestleMania where they actually have a shot at being the main event, potentially on night one. And not only does Punk get his WrestleMania main event, but he gets a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship.
That was one of the things I brought up last night. I think that out of all the things is probably the least likely. I know Punk has made mentions that he wants to main event WrestleMania, but do we really need this match for the World Championship? I don't know.
No, it doesn't have to be, but I'm saying that's a direction that they could go, and that would then open Gunther up. And this I wouldn't do.
Yes, I know where you're going. I don't like it.
Yes, but it would open Gunther up to wrestle Bill Goldberg in Goldberg's retirement match at WrestleMania. Because I think you and I are on the same page as far as Braun Breaker being a better opponent for Goldberg.
Yeah.
But they were certainly teasing Gunther and Goldberg. And if they're going to have Goldberg's final match, I don't need to be subjected to an entire year. Because John Cena, this is his retirement year. So he's going to go on his retirement tour, and he is the retirement story of 2025. And Goldberg is not going to, walk all over that. So when he's ready to have his match, he'll have his one match. And WrestleMania likely is where that's going to happen. So I just throw that out there because you asked the question, let's say if he loses the championship at the Rumble, what do you do with Gunther? There you go. At least he's not left without an opponent. But I don't like that idea either. So.
I can't
but
get
we're
behind
talking
that.
about what could potentially
I know.
happen.
I mean, and the fact of the matter is, it's very logical that it could end up that way. It's not like it's a fucking foreign concept. What do we do with Braun Breaker then? Do we do Braun Breaker and Sheamus gets his WrestleMania moment? I'm assuming because I had thought Bronson Reed was going to be a shoo-in for that, and now he's going to miss WrestleMania. Do we go Braun Breaker and Sheamus? Because I felt like, and you felt like Braun Breaker would be a perfect opponent for Bill Goldberg.
Well, the fact that Braun now feels like a babyface seems to lend some credence to the idea that I think maybe they were setting up for Bronson Reed to be the opponent and to beat him, as a heel, to beat him and win the championship. Now he's out of the picture. But Braun Breaker right now, he feels like he's slotted in there internally as a babyface, especially after you see last night. That was a classic babyface comeback.
Yeah.
The crowd cheers for him. So it's not like he hasn't gone back and forth over the last few months. They could always, put him back in the heel column. But I look at him as a babyface, and I feel like it would be more, not that you can't do the Sheamus match, and I would love to see it, but I do wonder if they would want to put a heel in there with him, and if so, that would seem to rule Sheamus out. So who would that heel be? It's almost impossible for us to even answer it because of this transfer window. We don't know who's going to go back and forth. We could be looking at the Raw roster right now, and it could end up being somebody from SmackDown. So I don't know that we can really say for sure until we get past the beginning of January.
You know what I'm thinking, and this may be an out of the box idea. I feel like Carmelo Hayes would be a great opponent for Braun Breaker at WrestleMania for the Intercontinental title.
You know what though? I mean, I like Carmelo Hayes, but I feel like you could do better for Braun at WrestleMania.
Well, what do you mean? He's going to be the world champion.
Not at WrestleMania.
Not at WrestleMania. They're going to move him into the World Championship title picture. I mean, that's where he's going. He's not going to hold this championship.
No, but I mean,
forever.
as far as an opponent for him at WrestleMania, I would think they want somebody with a little more name recognition or somebody a little bit higher up on the chain. I mean, this guy just got squashed by Braun Strowman on Friday night. They've got some rehabilitation to do with Carmelo Hayes between now and then. If you want to convince me that he is the best opponent for Braun Breaker at WrestleMania.
A nice 45-minute stay in the Rumble can remedy all that, bro.
Do you think he's going to get a 45-minute stay in the Royal Rumble? Are you sure about that?
I don't know, man. You're the one who's criticizing me about fucking Chad Gable every week, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm criticizing you about Chad Gable. Meanwhile, what do they have Chad Gable doing on TV last night? He's back to feuding with fucking Alpha Academy. Fucking break. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Jacob Fatu? Listen, I don't know, man. Maybe they go and do that. I have no fucking clue.
We have to wait. We have to wait and see how the roster shakeup turns out. It's just impossible because if you want to open it up to SmackDown, there's any number of names who could be moved over. Jacob Fatu, could be one. We don't know where AJ Styles is going to be at that point. Hopefully he's back well before then from his foot injury. How might he factor into things? We don't know. We don't know because we're in the middle of this transfer window and they're going to be moving people around. So we don't know where people are going to land one way or the other.
It's going to be an interesting situation to follow. Braun Breaker did retain the championship last night in what I thought was a very good television match. I didn't think it was their best match that they've both been a part of. That actually took place at Survivor Series. I thought that was one of the best triple threat matches, if not the best triple threat match all year in WWE. Definitely more of a slower match, selling an injury, come from behind, gritty babyface performance by Braun Breaker, just showing you what he can do and stripping away that NXT, feel that he had. He's just he's a very good athlete, and he's very good at what he does, and he's getting better week by week. So he did beat Kaiser for the retain here on Monday night Intercontinental Championship match. They did go 18 minutes, which was a long time. The other big thing that happened on Monday night, Jason, was we got this vignette, and it was nothing more than a zero with a slash going through the zero, and I didn't want to say one way or another what I thought it was. I just left it open for interpretation, and everybody was like, well, what do you think it is? It's like, yes, I know who it is, guys. I just don't want to say it is because they usually have a way of trolling us. It may end up being somebody else, but everybody's assumption is that it's Pentagon Jr., and a lot of people are now correlating him and the debut with January 6th on Netflix. But the New Day, they did not have a factor on the show last night outside of a couple of backstage segments. They were kicked out of the locker room. Rey Mysterio saw that happen. He facilitated that they didn't get a dressing room. And Rey Mysterio is now involved with the New Day. Now, my question to you is, because I don't know what you talked about on your show last night, do you feel like Penta is coming on in to back Rey Mysterio against the New Day? Because that's the general feeling in the community.
It wasn't what I was thinking. I don't hate the idea. It would be kind of funny if they bring Penta in to team with someone named Ray.
And yes, and regardless of that, the LWO connection there, you know.
But that's why I was not thinking about it, because I don't want him to just be associated with the LWO. It's just such an obvious lazy fucking thing to do. And I understand the idea of, okay, well, Rey Mysterio's a major name. He's an established name. And so to give Penta some credibility with the WWE audience who may not fully understand or know who he is, it's not the worst idea in the world to make friends with Rey Mysterio. I get that. I just don't want him to become like another friend or member of the LWO. And people were like, oh, you know, mentioned Dragon Lee and what's going on with him. I said, that's a great example of what I'm talking about. And I hope he fares better than Dragon Lee has, because Dragon Lee had a little bit of steam going at the beginning when he first showed up on the main roster, and then nothing. And what's he been doing lately? When was the last time we even saw him on TV?
I don't know, but people were hyping up him and Pete Dunne on Main Event this week.
Oh, great. Okay, yeah, sure. I'll get right on that when I watch Rampage first.
Yeah.
Look, and again, I'm sure Main Event has some great matches, okay? But even I have my limit on the amount of wrestling I could watch in a given week. So forgive me if I didn't watch Main Event this week. I don't want Penta to end up on fucking Main Event, okay? And I did say this last night. I didn't float any specific ideas for what I think he'll be doing. But I did say that there's money to be made with Penta as a single star. And I understand that I'm sure they would have brought in the Lucha Bros together. I'm sure that was the plan. I still believe that it would not be the Motor City Machine Guns on SmackDown. I think it was going to be the Lucha Bros.
Yes.
That's what I think. Whether the Machine Guns would have gone to NXT first or they would have put them on Raw, probably NXT, right? But we'll never know. Penta was doing some great shit on his own when I first started watching him. I didn't know who he was until Lucha Underground. That's when I first became familiar with him. And he was going around breaking people's arms. And I said, man, this guy looks cool as all hell. And he was the Lucha Underground champion, and he was one of the stars of the show. And so when he joined AEW, it was part of a tag team, but I was excited, and I was hoping at some point he'd get a singles push, and it never really materialized. There's money to be made with him. He may not be the strongest promo who's going to go out there and deliver a 5 or 10 minute long, promo in the ring like a lot of other guys can. But you could easily solve that by putting someone with him. He had Alex in AEW, so he's not going to have Alex. But the name that I mentioned, people were asking me, well, who would you put with him if, you were going to give him a manager? And I know we've talked about this person before, Jose the Assistant.
Yeah, we mentioned it last week.
Yeah, I mean, as far as we know, like he's a free agent right now, and he certainly played that role with Andrade in AEW, and he can bump, right? He can work, he can bump. So there are ways around that if that becomes an issue for him in WWE, but he just has this natural physical charisma about him. Like that catchphrase, like, dude, they're going to be making so much money on those t-shirts.
The whole skit he does with the glove, that shit's going to get over big time. The first time he does it is going to be fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, the glove. They'll make so much money on the glove. So he's very marketable. He's charismatic in his own way. And I just hope they realize what they have in him. And if they play their cards right, he could be a major star in a very short period of time for them. I don't want to just see him become another, part of the LWO and fade into the background like Dragon Lee. I think that would be a complete waste of his talents.
Yeah, that's the first thing that I thought of. I agree with you 100%. I think a singles run for him is going to be the way to go. I think, pairing him with Ray out of the gate, if WWE, casuals don't know who he is a great start for him. But, I mean, that would be one and done and then send him on his way. I mean, that's all you really need. He's going to get over fine on his own. I don't know what type of role he's going to play going into WrestleMania. If he stays on the Raw brand, if he's going to float between, I don't know what brand he's going to be on. So I'm assuming they're promoting him on Raw. He's going to be on Raw on January 6th.
We were just talking about Braun Breaker.
That's exactly where I was going. I mean, maybe that's the answer to that question, but I don't really know. So it's a possibility, but I'm just glad that he's here and they're bringing him on in, and he's going to be a money-making machine for them, and it's going to be great to see. I think he's a great talent. I love him. And him in WWE is going to be something else to see how Triple H handles him. As far as the rest of Monday night, we had the Tag Team Championships on the line. It was the War Raiders against the Judgment Day. This is JD McDonough and Finn Balor. This went 17 minutes in the main event, and we saw Damian Priest get involved because all the members of the Judgment Day were banned from ringside, but Damian Priest is not part of Judgment Day, obviously, so he got involved when Balor went for a chair, and the end of the match saw War Machine hit on Finn Balor, and that was it. And the reign of terror of this terrible tag team title reign is finally over. How many defenses, Jason, did they have in 200 days?
3 title defenses in 5.5 months.
Oh, my God.
Amazing.
Wow.
Amazing.
And I thought the Young Bucks were terrible. Wow.
Well, they were. That last run they were. I mean, they went 4 months, I think. It was 4 months, 5 months?
4
between
months. Yep.
Yeah, 4 months between title defenses. That's pretty fucking bad.
That's
I mean,
bad.
there's no justification for either one of them, okay? They both deserve scorn because there's just no reason for that. And look, I was very happy for Ivar in particular because he's got a connection to the New England area. He's a Boston guy. I even mentioned, like, he notably has trained a bunch of people. He had a hand in training Kofi Kingston, who's also from the Boston area, Mercedes Moné and Tommaso Ciampa. So for him to not just win the titles, but he got the winning fall in the match. I'm sure coming back from his injuries and his surgeries, it was a cool moment, for the both of them. I like what they did earlier in the show with the vignette where they had Eric talking about how he and Sarah Logan just had their new baby boy a couple weeks ago. He just got to hold him for the first time. So they added a personal flair to it. I mean, it was just like a flashing neon sign that we were getting a title change last night. All the signs pointed to it. The fact that it was the rematch and beating the War Raiders again would have just killed them. Balor losing on Saturday. This was only going to continue his downward spiral. So it was the right move to make. Absolutely get those belts off the Judgment Day because Balor's he has a story they're telling, and he needed to lose last night to further that story, which I think ultimately very, very shortly is going to result in him no longer being a part of the Judgment Day. And between him and Priest, yes, it could be either one of them could benefit from being moved to SmackDown, but I think Balor's the one. I still like the idea of Balor being outsmarted by Dom, and he gets shipped off to SmackDown, and then he'll be able to have a whole bunch of new people to work with over there. But it just feels like his story arc with that group is coming to an end. It could be January 6th that it happens.
Yeah, I saw a YouTube short today that WWE posted with Liv and Dominic watching the end of the tag team title match last night, and they seemed completely unbothered by Finn Balor taking the pinfall loss and losing the tag team titles. They basically came off in a, oh well, situation. So,
well, I mean, that was the segment in the back early in the show last night where Balor was like, where were you guys on Saturday? I was basically out there 2-on-1, and Liv was like being totally sarcastic, like, oh, well, we didn't think you needed our help. And, JD was focused on retaining your tag team titles tonight, and Raquel was focused on her Intercontinental Tournament match. And then Raquel, like in the cheesiest way possible, is like, that's right, because as you told us, when what was his catchphrase? When you listen to Finn, we always win,
Yep.
or something like that. Like they just seemed like the joke was on him and he didn't realize it. So yeah, I mean, the fix is in. He's already got one foot out the door. He just doesn't know it yet. I don't know if that's going to be the end of the Judgment Day altogether. It probably should be, but if not, hey, give Dom a run, man. Let's see what he can do leading a faction. Let's see if he can sink or swim.
yeah, he hasn't really been treated as. He's getting over. He's obviously over with the crowd, but as far as a win-loss percentage, he's accumulated some of the most losses in WWE all year. So he's going to need to be on the winning side of things if he's going to be taken seriously as a leader of a group.
Yeah, but he's also like the workhorse too, because I think he's got more matches than anybody. So, I mean, they've been, especially earlier in the year, he was working Raw, he was working SmackDown, he was working NXT, he was wrestling Punk on the house shows. Like, he may have more matches than any other person in the company all year. And, yeah, I mean, if he's going to lead a faction, then he should win more matches, but it could be played up in a comedic way. He's in over his head. He doesn't know what he's doing. Hey, look, depending on how things go with Balor, there have been people who still harp on this whole like Balor and Liv aspect of things, going back to like the hotel key card and stuff. Who knows what might come out? on that front, right?
You mean to tell me Balor's going to reveal that he slept with Liv Morgan?
He might make a snide comment to Dominic about how she's been around the block a few times or something, you know? And, hey, you know, she's got more turns than a doorknob. I mean, you never know what's going to...
That's all we need in the community, to make Liv Morgan out to be that.
Oh, I'm sure they'll have their pitchforks out.
Uh-huh.
And it's like all these people that want an edgier product on Netflix, and they're very upset we're not getting one. I said last week, I go, are you kidding me? Like, people after the first week would want this show thrown off the air. Like, you're going to get edginess up to a point. You're not going to get edginess in the way that you want edginess. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, the War Raiders, though, going back to that, and then winning the tag team championships was the right call. Absolutely. I don't think anybody's arguing that. Ivar had that great singles run while Eric was out with injury. He fucking killed it. He was so good at what he did. It didn't really get him or net him a championship, but the matches that he put on, he put on some of the best matches of that time period when Eric was out on Raw. So he did great there. Eric came back from this neck injury.
Well, you know what that reminded me of? Before I forget? Bronson Reed. I think there's some similarities there because they both got opportunities that I don't know that they were originally going to get because someone got hurt. Mm-hmm. And they made the most of it. And then it ended when they got hurt. That's why Ivar's singles run came to an end. He got hurt. And so Bronson Reed, now he got hurt. So it sucks, but a lot of similarities there.
Yeah, and Eric with the neck injury, it was just very poetic. The fact that they both came back at the same time healthy. War Raiders were back. They got their old theme music, NXT Black and Gold theme music back. They won the tag team championships. Very happy for both of those guys. I've been a big fan of them for many years, and to see them get that moment. I mean, I would have loved to let the moment breathe last night, and they, as the fireworks were going off, the fucking show just cut off on USA Network here on the East Coast. But as far as them getting the championships, absolutely the right call. Now, I did read a report, Jason, that the renewed focus of the tag team division is going to start now with the War Raiders winning the tag team championships. I will believe it when I see it. I don't really take anything tag team title or tag team division related in WWE seriously at all unless I see change. But right now, as far as the teams on Monday night, we have Alpha Academy, we have American Made, we have Judgment Day, which they just lost the titles last night. We have AOP. We have the team of Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde, Dragon Lee, Rey Mysterio. I mean, that's all one group. That's all LWO. We have Joe Gacy, Eric Rowan, and we have the New Day. I don't know what's going to happen as far as the tag team division on Raw, but as far as the War Raiders being the champions, there's not really a lot to work with there. How are you feeling about this renewed focus potentially in the tag team division? Do you believe it?
I wouldn't say there's not a lot to work with. You just rattled off like 8 teams. I mean, it's not a matter of, oh, they have no teams. It's just a matter of you have to set some of these teams up with some credible wins and build them up. And then you can build a story between, you know, the War Raiders. The War Raiders and the New Day seems to be the direction in my mind. Like if they're going to drop those titles to a heel team, let's say in the not too distant future, I can't imagine it's not going to be Kofi and Woods. So that may be not right away, but you know, whether it's WrestleMania or sometime between Rumble and WrestleMania, if they were going to put the belts back on the New Day, now that the War Raiders, they're a babyface team, you would think they might lose them to a heel team. I don't think it's going to be AOP. Process of elimination, the New Day would seem to be the favorites. We'll see what they do at WrestleMania, like if Big E's involved. It's just, you got to give some of these teams some credibility. The Wyatts, they don't wrestle enough. Like Dexter Lumis is having a singles match next Monday. It's the first time, I think, that we're having any of the members that are not Uncle Howdy having a singles match. So that's good. That's progress. But how many times have we seen the Wyatts in action on Raw since they debuted? You can count on one hand and still have fingers left over.
3.
So you've got to get them more reps on TV. And they're not really doing the tag team thing. So that's the issue with the Wyatts. Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde. Joaquin's out, I think, right now, right? I think he's been hurt.
Yep.
I think. So we haven't seen much of them. You have, like you said, Ray and Dragon Lee, but we don't see Dragon Lee very often on the show. So how much of a team are they? And that leaves AOP and New Day and Alpha Academy. Alpha Academy are treated like a joke. The Creeds, sorry to say, they're not very credible right now. So that's on Triple H and Creative to, in the new year, build these guys up just like they've been doing with the Street Profits and DIY and the Motor City Machine Guns, building a story on SmackDown around those three teams. They're going to have to do something similar on Raw. The teams are there. You just have to know what to do with them. It's like AEW. You can't say they don't have enough talent. It's what you do with the talent. It always comes down to creative and what do you do with the people that you have, the tools in the toolbox, right? They're there. They're laying there, but you have to use them the right way.
I'm still waiting for Private Party winning those tag team titles to fucking change the division over there, man. What's going on?
Oh, my God. I mean, how many times have they been on Dynamite since they won those belts? Once?
Maybe.
And that was in a backstage segment with Top Flight and who were the other?
Fucking Leo Rush and Action Andre looking like they're fucking out of Super Mario Kingdom or something.
Yeah.
With those fucking puffy spiked jackets they were wearing.
That's what Private Party has done since winning the tag team titles. They had some momentum, too, after they beat the Bucks. You would think, oh, my God, they beat the Young Bucks. That should be a big deal. It always comes down to what are your plans for them. That's why I said, look, last night, happy for them. Great moment. People, I think, mostly were just happy that the Judgment Day lost. But I also, on my review last night, I was like, I'm retaining some skepticism here. I'm not going to get overly excited because I think the War Raiders can end up in exactly the same spot that the Judgment Day were in. We may be talking about their reign of terror in a few months. So let's see how it plays out first.
I hope there's change. Seriously, I hope there's change. As far as the women's division, there was an Intercontinental Championship tournament match last night. And Zoe Stark got the victory for Pure Fusion Garbage Collection. And she's now in the semifinals against Dakota Kai.
Unfortunate finish to that.
Yes, it was pretty bad. I don't know who messed up there, but it did not look good.
It's just a very convoluted move to begin with.
Yeah,
like if you don't hit it just right.
It almost looked like Hayden was afraid to take it, honestly, and she just completely botched the move.
It's too bad because I thought there were, other spots in the match where Zoe looked really good, but all people are going to remember it's how you finish. And it was like, ugh, that's how you end the match. Like, that's not great.
I know. So we got Dakota and Zoe on one side, and the other side of the bracket, we have, I don't have the brackets in front of me, but I know Lyra is in the favorite to win that side of the bracket in her match. And then we have what happened last night, which I'm going to get to now. Kyrie was taken out by Pure Fusion Collection, and now she needs to be replaced in the tournament. Now, we're not going to give away spoilers because I know a lot of people don't like to hear that. And, some of you do a good job of staying off social media and avoid the geeks who want to spoil everything for everybody. But we did say last week that if one woman in particular was in the tournament, that she would end up winning the tournament. Now, I don't want to say that is going to be the case, but with Kyrie's injury, Jason, how do you see the rest of this tournament playing out?
Well, I mean, my first thought last night, because she was right there helping Kyrie when she got hurt, Io Sky's got nothing to do. And you've got her right there. You don't have to look very far. If you need a replacement for Kyrie, you go with Io Sky. And you have Io. And so it's Io, Natalya, and who's the other
I'm going to look it up right now. I don't remember. It's nobody of note. It might be Zelina Vega. Might be her.
Is it Zelina? Or was she in one of the earlier matches?
Title tournament. Let me see. Look this up right now.
Yeah, just look it up. I'm curious who the other...
Let's see. It is Lyra's already in the semifinals, so she won her bracket. Lyra, Zelina, and Ivy Nile was in that match. It's Alba Fire. It was supposed to be Kairi Sane, who got injured last night, and then Natalya. So if we are to assume that, someone else in Damage Control is going to take her spot, it's going to be Io.
Right.
So if Io is in that match, and we get Io and Lyra.
Well, but so let me throw this at you. Because, Natty had a tweet the other day. And I don't have it in front of me.
I saw it, yep.
Yeah, so she was basically saying, okay, it's my time. Yeah, I've been here. I put the work in all these years and championships. And it made me think, well, is she putting that out there because they're going to do a little story with her and let her go to the next round or let her go to the finals of the tournament? I'm going to say no. But it's a thought that don't count her out totally. That's what that tweet made me think. I think that whoever the replacement is, especially if it's Io, is going to move on. And then we're going to get Io and Lyra. And as we were talking about earlier before we went live, I believe that was the semifinal match in the Queen of the Ring this year. And Lyra won. Do they have Io get her win back? And you do damage control against damage control in the finals. I'm sticking to my guns, though. I'm going to stick to my guns, and I'm going to stick with Lyra to win, even if Io is in it. Because it just feels to me like, as much as I would love to see Io win, I feel like it's a vehicle to get. They're using it as a vehicle to get somebody else over who could probably benefit more, and that would really be either Dakota or Lyra.
Now, there's a couple of ways I would attack this. I don't really know what their plans are and who is going to be slotted where going into WrestleMania. I'm thinking about January 6th first and foremost. I mean, according to WrestleVotes, the finals of this tournament will be taking place on that debut show on Netflix. Do you go with Dakota and Lyra as a middle of the road match for the Intercontinental Championship, or do you put someone in there that's obviously gotten over with the fan base and fans want to see in Io against Dakota, or do you go with the possible match of Dakota and Lyra and have it be a decent match, but the fans aren't really fully invested on that debut show? What do you do if you're Triple H? Do you go with a hot hand, or do you go with someone that you probably had plans from the get-go to put the title on?
I mean, the only reason I'm shying away from Io is because I'm holding out hope that maybe she wins the Rumble, and then she could be in a much better position come WrestleMania time. If she wins the Intercontinental title, that's great, and she'll be the first. But there's no shot then of her winning the Rumble or the Chamber, and that's just the level that she'll be at. I just feel like she's over enough right now, and she's great, but she's over enough right now that I'm hoping there's more for her than that. So that's why I'm sticking to Lyra. If it was Io, I'd also be very happy. But I just feel you could do better than the Intercontinental title right now for her going into WrestleMania.
I also think about the Becky Lynch situation, because Becky Lynch is coming back. What is she doing at WrestleMania? And I think we both talked about this last week. I think Lyra and Becky for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania would probably be something that they might have thought about for Las Vegas. I could see that. If Lyra doesn't win the title, what does Becky do? Do they go and win the tag team titles? Do they go and challenge for those titles? I don't know. So, there's a lot of what ifs. Becky, Lyra, Io potentially winning the Royal Rumble. She gets Rhea. Bianca, what do we do with Bianca? I think we were setting up for Bianca Jade. I don't think Jade is injured. After all these, we're still hearing reports this week. That's such a serious injury. Nothing's been said. We don't know what's going on. I'm going to go with these.
Here's the thing, though. That's coming from Meltzer. From Meltzer. Mike Johnson had another report, because he says the opposite. Mike Johnson of PW Insider has been saying the opposite, and then he had another report this week saying that not only is she not injured, I think she's on vacation right now, and she's got some outside projects that she's working on. I mean, that's a pretty big discrepancy there. Either she's seriously injured or she's vacationing on the beach somewhere.
It's seriously bad, says the Observer.
Yeah, maybe she's injured and she's on vacation. She's laid up in a body cast on a beach somewhere in the Baja. I don't know, but I'm going to assume she's not really hurt. And that she will be back in time for Rumble and WrestleMania season. And we're probably going to get Bianca and Jade at WrestleMania. But if it's Naomi, let's say, who is the culprit, maybe she factors into whatever the WrestleMania situation is going to be. Because if it wasn't, if we don't believe that it was Bianca who attacked Jade, and there's going to be some big reveal here in this angle, then how do you get to Bianca against Jade? Wouldn't it be Naomi?
Yeah.
So we haven't really thought that fully through yet. Where do all the pieces fall for WrestleMania season?
Or maybe Jade comes back and turns heel and finds herself to be jealous of Bianca or Naomi and takes it out on Bianca for replacing her, and Jade is the one who goes heel and Bianca stays babyface, and that's how we get there. Possible.
I just think Bianca against Jade, that's the big match. If you're going to do a big singles match at WrestleMania, you're not going to, I'm sorry, you're not doing Jade one-on-one with Naomi.
No.
Not as a WrestleMania match. Because then what the hell do you do with Bianca?
I don't know.
Can't leave Bianca out of things.
No. She was my number one to win the Royal Rumble. I thought they were going to go Bianca Rhea.
I would love to see Bianca and Rhea. That's still a possibility, right? We still got the transfer window too. Yeah. That, again, don't forget about that. So they have options there, like Rhea and Io, Rhea and Bianca. I would be totally fine with either one of those. The idea of Lyra winning the IC and then Becky coming back and challenging Lyra, also, I could very easily see that. Last time we saw Becky, other than losing to Liv Morgan, she was rubbing shoulders with Lyra, trying to give her some rub on the way out. And, you know, obviously they're very friendly with each other, and I'm sure they would love to work with each other on a stage like that. They have a lot of options. I mean, there's a few different directions that I think are reasonable that they could go in.
That's another one. Liv Morgan. When Liv Morgan loses that championship on January 6th, what is she doing at WrestleMania? Does she go after the Intercontinental title?
So soon after being the World Heavyweight Champion? They're going to thrust her right into another title picture?
I don't know. They got a lot of options, and of course, you know, I don't want to see this happen, but I have a terrible feeling that it will be what we get. Charlotte Flair could possibly, more than likely, going to factor into the Royal Rumble. So, you know, we don't really know what's going to happen there. All the returns coming back. Alexa's coming back. Charlotte's coming back. Becky's coming back. We don't know.
Yeah, I'm not against the idea, and what I have long thought would be the plan for WrestleMania is Charlotte and Tiffany. I mean, I'm fine with that. I don't need to see Charlotte winning the Rumble again to do it. You know, preferably they would find another pathway. But I think Charlotte and Tiffany's got to be the favorite right now.
Yeah.
Assuming Tiffany cashes in before WrestleMania.
God, I hope so.
How much longer can we go on like this? My God, it's like every other week there's a friggin' briefcase tease and nothing happens. Again, playing it safe. Maybe he's saving the cash in for January 6th.
I hope so. Let's get rid of it. That is what happened on Monday Night Raw. It was okay last night. It wasn't really a blow-away show. They're obviously putting their chess pieces on the board for January 6th, and nothing really major is going to happen from this point on up until then. So we will definitely keep you guys afloat on everything that's going on. As far as the Intercontinental title, that will take place on January 6th, according to WrestleVotes. And one other WWE note here, as far as AJ Styles, who was backstage at the last TNA pay-per-view. He was not in a cast. He was not on a crutch. He was actually walking around okay. But the update on AJ Styles is that WWE is keeping quiet about his injury status. This is coming from WrestleVotes, who noted that WWE is staying quiet about his status. When he got hurt, says WrestleVotes, on that Friday night, I heard immediately, okay, it's legit. He's hurt. I haven't heard a word about AJ since. It's very, very strange, to be honest. Not a word. So whatever it is, they're keeping it quiet all the way around. Now, I don't really know. I don't want to speculate, but, you know, could they be saving him for a Royal Rumble appearance? So they got major plans for him in 2025. I heard a rumor that TNA could be getting some help for that UBS show on Long Island. Maybe AJ's a part of that. How do you see AJ factoring into anything, Jason? Do you see him a part of anything next year?
Yeah, I mean, I see him coming back around Rumble time. I think he could be a surprise in there. And then hopefully he has a role on the WrestleMania card in some way, right? I think this year he wrestled LA Knight.
Yeah.
And so hopefully he can have something, you know, next year as well. He also feels like, you know, he's kind of winding down. I don't think he's come right out and said that his, you know, retirement is imminent like next year. But it just feels to me like once we get the Cena retirement out of the way, I don't know that AJ is going to be that far off after that. So I hope he can get healthy so that we can get one last really great run out of him. Because I still think there's another WWE title run in him. I think there's one more. And I hope we get it. But if he keeps getting hurt, if injuries become an issue and they start piling up, you know, the older he gets, then I don't know. I don't know about that. But yeah, no, I think he'll factor into things and hopefully he can stay healthy. It was a freak injury. If you go back and watch the match, I mean, it just looked like a totally freak thing where he just planted his foot the wrong way. And it just sucks. It was his first match back. He had been gone for a few months and he wasn't hurt. They just gave him time off. And it's not like, oh, he's just coming off an injury. Like, no, he was healthy and he comes back and then he gets hurt. So the timing wasn't great, but if he's able to come back in time for the Rumble season or WrestleMania season, the timing may work out okay for him. I just hope they can find something decent for him. What brand will that be a part of? You know, do you want to build up something with him eventually challenging Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. There's a match we've never seen before.
I'd love to see that. And again, we don't know what his status is. I read that he has a contract year coming up. I don't know if he's decided to stay, if he wants to test free agency, if he just wants to quit completely, which I don't think is the case. But I don't know. For all we know, he may end up signing with good old TK in 2025.
No, I'd be surprised. The fact that if he didn't sign with him the last time, I don't think he's got no reason to leave.
No.
By all accounts, WWE, they pay him well, they treat him well. Unless he really just wanted to just work with new faces and work with new people. I just feel like if he didn't sign with them the last go around, then he's not serious about leaving WWE.
I don't want him to leave. I know that for sure. I do agree with you. I think he's got one major run left in him. I'd love to see that match with Gunther, but hopefully we will see him by Royal Rumble time. I think that would be a nice place to bring him back to television if he is ready to go. Let's shift gears to Tessa Blanchard, which was the talk of the town this past week. She's back on TNA television, and she is starting a program with Jordynne Grace, who lost recently the Impact Women's Knockouts Championship, or TNA Knockouts Championship, to Masha Slamovich. And Tessa is back as of last Friday. Now, I want to preface this by saying she was once a part of TNA in 2020. And a lot of people, Jason, know about the bullying behavior and the racial situation that she was a part of with La Rosa Negra. But I think a lot of people seemingly forget that Tessa was the first woman to win the Impact World Championship at Hard to Kill back in 2020. And around that same time is when the racism and the bullying allegations surfaced, which included claims of her using racial slurs and spitting in the face of La Rosa Negra during a previous event in Japan years before that. Then in March, during the COVID-19 pandemic, she was in Mexico, was Tessa, and she did not return to TNA events. She was still the world champion. She reportedly refused to submit promos for tape segments, leading to tensions between her and the company. And then June, Tessa was stripped of the Impact World Championship after she refused to return to the United States to actually drop the championship amidst ongoing disputes over payment for returning the title during the pandemic. So a lot of people seemingly forget that. That, to me, the racism and the bullying stuff, you could look at it however which way you want. But as far as a company, and how you treated the championship, the fucking biggest prize in the company, and the company that gave you a job, I find that to be a pretty damning aspect of why nobody really wanted to work with her. Then she worked for Women of Wrestling, and they were supposed to build that brand around her. She started bullshit there with people and started bullying people there. That was supposed to be a brand that was going to be her revitalization tour. That went to shit. And then she just holed up in Mexico, wrestled in Mexico. I don't know if she went to seek therapy or if she got better and just kind of stayed to herself and did what she had to do to get right. But now she's back, and apparently the entire situation with her was done away from any of the roster knowing, and which I find that to be fucking ridiculous. Some wrestlers were not happy about finding out the news that Tessa Blanchard returned to TNA. She came back to TNA Friday. This news was met with disbelief and concern with many within the wrestling community, including talents in TNA, AEW, and WWE. This was first reported by the Wrestling Observer newsletter, followed up by SAP of Fightful Select. And apparently the decision to bring back Blanchard was reportedly coming from a top person in Anthem, the parent company of TNA, despite warnings from others within the organization. And the news was kept quiet to avoid internal backlash, as many remain uncomfortable with Blanchard's past actions. So the plan was for Blanchard to return as a heel, quickly win the Knockouts Women's Championship, and feud with Jordynne Grace, which obviously they're going to feud with Jordynne Grace and then probably going to win the Women's Championship. Jordynne Grace reportedly resisted working with Blanchard. Some speculate that TNA is bringing in Blanchard to compensate for the potential departures of Speedball Mike Bailey, Jordynne Grace herself, Josh Alexander, and there's several other names that are leaving the company as of the new year. So I'll stop there. Jason, if your biggest woman star does not want to work with this woman, doesn't that speak volumes, and doesn't that just give you all the answers that you really need to know? I mean, you and I both know Jordynne Grace. We've called several matches for Jordynne Grace before. I think Jason even got to the commentaries. It might have been when Jason was first there. I interviewed with Hodge. Big Hodge did this Cutting Corners segment on House of Glory. We did it at the school, the old school. I interviewed Jordynne Grace, and she was as sweet can be. She stayed as long as we needed her to cut the interview. She was so welcoming and so nice, and every time she's walked through the door has been so nice. This is the face of your women's division. If she doesn't want to work with anybody, I don't know why you would go and say, sorry, you have to do what we ask you to do. I understand putting someone over on your way out, but if she says she don't want to work with anybody, that should be the ultimate, woman there, or the ultimate figure there that should be the end all be all. Like, why would you disrespect someone in that way? How did you take that aspect of the story when you heard about that?
I took it as a slap in the face if you're Jordynne Grace. I mean, think about it. Jordynne Grace has been the model representative for TNA. All the stuff that she's done in WWE, right? She has carried the flag for that company all year, and even longer than just this year. So if the reports are true that she, and again, that comes from Mike Johnson, that she resisted the idea, or at least expressed no interest in working with Tessa, it's not surprising if the report is that the decision was made by someone from the Anthem side and not the wrestling side, which I believe is what most of the reports have indicated, that this was more of an Anthem move than anything that originated from the wrestling side per se. So they don't care. They're losing a lot of people right now. There are contracts coming due. Apparently, some people were told their pay was going to be cut. So if you'll notice this week, we've heard a lot about like Rhino and I think Jade Chung is their ring announcer, and Josh Alexander is probably going to be at least testing free agency, if not on his way out very soon.
Kushida, AJ Francis has a contract coming up. There's a lot of people.
Yeah, Kushida, Jordynne Grace. Again, I'd be shocked if she wasn't gone in the next couple of months on her way to WWE. And so they may look at it and go, well, we need someone to be the new face of this women's division. But you didn't mention Masha Slamovich, and she's somebody that's been there for a while and also very well regarded. And we hear about her name mentioned, being on the independent scene and everything. And I just feel like, to bring this woman in the way that they did, that's my big takeaway from this story. We can have a conversation about whether or not you feel she deserves a second chance, third chance, whatever. It's not even about that. The fact that they smuggled her in like contraband. Isn't that an indication like something's wrong here when you have to do that in the dark of night and you don't want people to know about it because you fear there may be a backlash, and not just from the fans, but from the actual talent who work there? Shouldn't that set off some bells in your head? Like, maybe if we're even thinking about doing this, maybe this is the wrong way to go about doing it. Like, shoot now, ask questions later. That's basically what they did. And it's just, that to me is classic LOL TNA. Even with a different hierarchy and management team there now and everything, there's still things that when you hear about it, it's like LOL TNA all over again. But I don't think they care. I think they say, look, she could be the face of this division. We need somebody. And Meltzer, for example, made the comment, we were talking about this, about how could this be, a test to see if all goes well, the WWE would have interest in her. Before I even heard him talking about that, I talked about it on my show on Sunday, and I said, look, this is a dress rehearsal. That's what this is going to end up being. This is going to be a dress rehearsal for WWE or AEW. There's a reason why neither company have reached out to her and have brought her in the last 4 years, right? She's super talented. You would think that'd be a no-brainer. Tony Khan and Triple H would be climbing over each other, trying to bring her into their company. There's a reason why, because she has been radioactive. But now all of a sudden she's back. WWE has the relationship with TNA. I think they look at it as, okay, let them be the guinea pig. If she goes 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, model citizen, no news stories, no incidents, everyone seems like, oh, she's been a great employee, or they're not employees, but okay, everything's gone great. They will have an interest in her. I do think that if she can be on her best behavior, she'll eventually be in WWE. Because I just feel like they're waiting for a reason to bring her in. You know, daughter, third generation star, daughter of one of the Horsemen. I still feel like that Charlotte Tessa match is bound to happen at some point in the future, but that's going to be up to her. You know, if she can be in TNA and be drama free, then yeah, I agree. I think she will end up in WWE. But the way they went about doing this, by all accounts, is preposterous, absolutely ridiculous. And why would you risk, you know, the harmony of your locker room and all these people that have been working for you now for so long, and think to yourself, well, they might be upset, so we're still going to do this. We're just going to hide it from them. It's just completely ridiculous. And that's not to say there aren't people in the company who aren't happy to have her back. Moose has been on social media. He's very happy to have Tessa back. Tommy Dreamer was a huge advocate for her the first time around. I'm sure.
Well, I mean, people still bring up what happened with Moose and his situation back in 2008. They won't let him live that shit down. I mean, it's social media. I mean, they're going to be fucking all over it no matter what.
Well, yeah, but that could also be why he wasn't in WWE, you know, back then either.
Yeah.
Why he ended up in TNA, because I mean that's pretty bad.
Yeah,
I don't think you just it's not supposed to sweep that under the rug here, but like that's a whole separate issue. But she has her advocates in TNA. It's not like the entire locker room and management is against her, but clearly there are enough people there who either don't want to work with her or have every right to be upset with the way they went about doing this. And the company can do it. I mean, you don't need to have everybody in agreement, but there are ways to go about doing it. The way they did it is just, it's ridiculous. And now if it ends up blowing up in their face, they're not going to have anybody to blame but themselves for it.
Yeah, some of the women that actually spoke out about Tessa when all of this first kind of revealed itself: Chelsea Green, Allison Kay, Gigi Dolan, Isla Dawn, Rebel from AEW, Shauna, if you guys remember Shauna back in the early stages of AEW, Renee Michelle, La Rosa Negra, obviously, who was the name associated most with this story. Jason, I felt like, you know, Jesse and I talked about this, and Jesse's been very vehement. Obviously, you guys know Jesse on Wednesday for my Dynamite reviews. He's been very vehement about one big aspect of this story, and I utter those same sentiments. You know, we don't know what happened behind closed doors. We don't know who Tessa spoke to privately. We don't know what has been said privately. For all we know, she has handled her business and apologized to who she needed to apologize to. But the one thing that we haven't gotten from Tessa, which probably would have spared her the reputation that she has in the eye of the general public, the wrestling fan, is that if she came out and publicly apologized for her behavior and then kind of moved on from it, leaving it in people's hands, whether you want to accept it or not, completely up to you. But at least it would have resuscitated her career and got her second chance starting on the right foot. Do you feel without her apologizing publicly that it really prolonged from where she was to where she is now? And do you think it's going to haunt her that she didn't issue a public apology to everybody for what she did?
Oh, absolutely. The worst thing she could have done is just double down and ignore it or deny everything. I think that you have people out there who can be very forgiving if they feel like you are contrite, and if there are genuine feelings of remorse, or, you know, I've grown, I've changed, what I did yet, you know, it was horrible and there's no excuse for it. But, you know, I'm not that person anymore. I can be better. That's not really who I am. Like, there was nothing like that. Right? There was really nothing. And it's funny you mentioned Jesse, because when I covered this on my show on Sunday, I mentioned the fact that there was never any sort of public acknowledgement of her doing anything wrong, or of what happened with, you know, with Black Rose. And there were multiple people who came out and backed her up on that. So I do believe that happened. I don't think they just pulled that out of their ass. But I mentioned the fact that, like, there was never an apology publicly, but, you know, I assume because they took that social media photo together a few years ago at a convention, that she at least apologized to her privately, which would be appropriate, because she doesn't really need to apologize to anybody else for that, except the person that she allegedly spat on and called, you know, the N-word. So I think that certainly warrants an apology. But yeah, Jesse heard the segment, and he messaged me and he pointed out something interesting, which is, I guess he was tweeting about it, and he mentioned the fact that she never apologized to La Rosa Negra for it, and I guess she liked the tweet, which would seem to indicate that maybe there wasn't like a private apology, right? I mean, so we're not even sure that there was a private apology. It could have been some words were exchanged, like basically trying to put this behind us, but like not actually apologizing. So we don't even, I can't even sit here now and say for sure that she even apologized to the woman in private.
Yeah.
But she certainly didn't say anything publicly about it. And I think that that would have honestly quieted a lot of people had she done this right out of the gate. And remember how this all started. This was a mess of her own making. This all started from a tweet that Tessa Blanchard put out, I believe, the night before she won the Impact World title from Sami Callihan. And it was something to the effect of, hey, women, let's be supportive of each other and good things can happen. And that just opened the floodgates. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Of all the people to make a comment like women supporting women, and then all these women came out like, well, you should practice what you preach. And then we started hearing about all these stories. So had she not tweeted anything, if she just would have kept her mouth shut, I don't think we would have heard probably about any of this stuff. So this all started, she basically torched her own career via tweet. That's how this all started. And she was 24 years old when all of this shit went down. Now she's 29. So she basically lost 5 years of her career. Now I know she spent the last year in CMLL. I'm not trying to, CMLL obviously is a major company, and I'm not aware of there being any new negative stories about her in the last year. But she would not be in CMLL right now had all this stuff not gone down. You and I know where she would be right now.
Of course.
She'd be at WrestleMania.
Several times over.
Several times over. She'd be getting ready for a big WrestleMania match in Las Vegas next year. That's where she would be. So she torched her own career. She has nobody to blame for that but herself. I have no sympathy for all that shit because she couldn't even bring herself to acknowledge it, publicly or apologize to people who came out and said, that she said horrible things about me, or she tried to get me blacklisted, or she bullied me, or you mentioned Wow Women of Wrestling. That was going to be like a rehab project for her. She was going to be the face of that. AJ Lee was brought in, and Tessa was going to be the main star. And what happened there? Before episodes even started airing on all the CBS affiliates,
didn't she torch somebody in a fucking backstage practice promo?
Well, I think she was maybe training some of the women there, and she just tore into one verbally. She tore into one of the women, just tore them to shreds, to the point where it made other people uncomfortable, and they had to stick up for this girl. And then obviously she was gone. She was gone. They didn't have Tessa Blanchard anymore. So I mean, it's not like one isolated incident here. Yeah, there's a pattern. You don't have. The way I described it was the number of people who came out with some kind of story about this woman, either their personal story or saying, oh yeah, I can back that up. I was there. I saw it. I heard it. Like you could feel the fucking baseball team with the number of people who came out and had something to say about Tessa Blanchard. Like they could take the field and you could have your first baseman and second baseman and outfielders. Like it's ridiculous. And to believe that Tessa did nothing wrong is to call all of these women liars. Are you going to sit there and tell me that you believe that Chelsea Green and Allison Kay and Isla Dawn and all these women are just lying because why? They're jealous of Tessa? They all conspired against her?
Jealousy is a powerful fucking feeling, man, but I don't think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 women could be wrong here.
And these are all women who work in different like promotions and countries. Like you can't get that many wrestlers to agree on shit. And they're all going to come together at the same time and conspire against this one person. Like, okay, clearly she developed a reputation. And so now TNA is taking a risk because they're bringing her back. Again, a company that got burned by her 4 years ago. Forget all the stuff we just talked about.
Yeah.
Like, go back to what you said at the beginning, right? She was their world champion. They stuck by her. Even through all of this controversy, they stuck with her because they figured it'll die down. Let time go by. And we'll weather this storm. She wrestled one match for them as champion against Taya Valkyrie. And then the pandemic hit. So, whatever. I mean, it's understandable. She wasn't defending her title very often. But she had a contract coming up. And she didn't want, as the story goes, she didn't want to leave Mexico. She was living in Mexico with her fiance at the time. And she was worried that if she came in for the tapings that she was scheduled for, she might not be able to get back into Mexico. But they were like, all right, we'll send in a couple of promos. she couldn't even do that from home. She couldn't even send any promos in. So they had to like redo the show and the voiceovers. It was like,
That's ridiculous.
yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. And they brought her back. So that's why I say, like, I hope it all works out. I really do. I hope it all works out for all involved. But if they get burned by her again, I'm going to laugh. I'm going to laugh because they will get exactly what they deserve.
Do you feel like her being back? Because I watched the clip several times over. I just felt like there was just a negative energy. It wasn't genuinely, how fans react to a heel. It was almost like, oh, this woman's back and get this woman off my TV. I usually say get off my TV. But do you feel with her being back for any extended period of time, they're going into 2 big shows in New York and Los Angeles. Does this have any effect on how fans view the product now? Do you see fans dropping off, not watching TNA because they've made this decision to bring her back? Or will the company remain unfazed?
I don't think there's going to be a huge number of fans who are suddenly going to drop off. I think there may be some who they turn off by this move. A lot of it's going to be dictated by just how she does and if any new stories come out. So if everything stays quiet, and again, she's a model citizen and they just kind of move along. By the time they get to the LA show, no, when is the LA show? The LA show is first, right? That's before the New York show, I believe.
I think the New York show is in June, yeah.
Yeah, the New York show is in June or July, and I think the LA show maybe is in March. Like I don't have the date. By the time they get whenever it is, by the time they get to that point, barring any news stories, no, I don't think it's going to make a huge difference to how many tickets they sell. But it's just the fact they're taking a risk. It could potentially, and so is it worth taking the risk? What they're doing is taking a gamble that by bringing her in, she's a big enough star that they can do business with her, that they can sell more tickets than maybe they lose, and they can make money on her. That's why it's a dress rehearsal for WWE and for AEW. If she can stay on the straight and narrow and actually generate ticket sales and do business for them, and she becomes an attraction, they're going to want to sign her. But they'll let TNA do it first, and let's see how things go. And if all goes well, then they'll swoop in with some amazing offer. And when she becomes a free agent, she's going to go to either one place or the other, and she'll have people who are, bidding for her services. But it's a risk. It's a risk that could come back to burn TNA. And I'm sure they knew that when they made the deal. But it's just a little weird that it came from someone on the executive side in Anthem. And I don't know how much they consulted the wrestling side. Like, it's just bizarre. Like, if you have to go through hoops like this, like, is it really worth it?
Well, how much do you actually care about the roster that's working for you enough to make this decision behind their backs? Like, if I'm working there, I'd be like, what the fuck?
Evidently not. Evidently not if they're cutting people's pay and that's why they're leaving.
I mean, there's a lot of people leaving. I mean, Rhino, Kushida, Trent Seven, Jade Chung, who is married to Josh Alexander. AJ Francis, Jordan Grace, Speedball Mike Bailey.
Well, we don't know if AJ Francis is leaving.
He's got a contract.
Sure.
He's got a contract coming up at the end of the year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's already made desires known that he wants to go back to WWE. So who knows?
Oh, I'm sure he does. I'm sure a lot of people want to go to WWE and make that Netflix money.
Yeah.
But I mean, especially with the connection now, with the relationship that the two sides have, they could still potentially do some TNA matches while working for WWE. So you get the best of both worlds. But, I just feel like they don't care. Clearly, they don't care. You ask the question, what does it mean to the other people on the roster? If they cared that much, and this woman comes in with a reputation and a lot of baggage, not that they have to do this, but these people are going to have to work together. You would think that they would have kind of gathered up the troops, and yes, maybe it would have leaked and they were worried about that and they just wanted to prevent that from happening. But at least the women that she would work with, you would think they would go to them and go, look, this is what we're thinking about doing. How do you guys feel about it? Let's have an open conversation, because we are talking about this. This is something that we want to do. We've had conversations with her, and you all have to work together. And I know maybe some of you have had past experiences with her. Let's have an open conversation about this. And I feel like they would probably appreciate the fact that they're at least being brought into the process here, right? Not that they have to do this, but they didn't do that and they hit it. And so now she's back and we're going to see what happens because evidently Jordynne Grace is one person who doesn't want to work with her. How many more people feel that way?
Jordynne Grace may feel like she don't want to work with her, but Jordynne Grace is going to do what business needs, and she's going to be on her way out. Goodbye.
Yeah, because she's a pro, and that's what she's going to do. And yeah, I mean, if she's got like 2 months left, if that, on her deal, it's like, you know what? Whatever. I'm already halfway out the door anyway. So okay, whatever. You want me to lose to this woman? Whatever. I'm already gone anyway.
So yeah, that's the latest on Tessa. I wish her nothing but the best. She is way too good to be not shown on television or be seen on television. I hope it works out for her. I hope she has a good circle of people that have talked to her to let her know exactly what needs to be done, giving her the proper guidance. Hopefully she's learned. Just do what is right for the company. Make good on what you did wrong 4 years ago. Treat everybody in that locker room as an equal and just do your shit. And just mind your business. I hope to see her succeed, and I hope it works out. I don't want to see it fail like many people expected to. We will now shift gears to AEW. We have a couple of AEW news and notes here. We'll start off with Ring of Honor. Yes, I know, Ring of Honor. Everybody's excited about Final Battle. I mean, it's at the Hammerstein Ballroom. It should be a decent show. I don't want to poke too much fun at it, but there is a news article here, Jason, that Ring of Honor is in talks with multiple networks for a weekly TV show. Now, AEW purchased Ring of Honor a few years ago. Tony Khan acquired the brand, the talent, the tape library at the time. WWE was definitely wanting that, and Tony Khan was able to acquire it away from WWE. So under his ownership, there has been a Ring of Honor presence on AEW television for several years. We've questioned why. The brand has kind of disintegrated into nothing over the last few years. And right now they have Honor Club still up and running on Thursday nights where you can watch every week, where there is new Ring of Honor television shows. And we have Final Battle showing up on Friday on Honor Club from New York City, the Hammerstein Ballroom. But in the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer, Meltzer notes that there is multiple suitors, multiple stations in talks regarding a potential weekly show. It's unclear who those networks are or how long these talks have been going on. Now, as far as the main event for that show, it's Chris Jericho defending the Ring of Honor Championship against Matt Cardona, who they are bringing in for this one show. The news surrounding Cardona is that he has a contract on the table, supposedly, according to Meltzer, to join AEW. Now, Meltzer says, I know that there was at least talk of Cardona getting an AEW contract. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. If he's already agreed, I guess we'll find out. Obviously, if he beats Jericho, which I don't expect to happen, but if he does, obviously, they won't do it unless he's under contract. That's what Dave Meltzer stated. Do you see? I hope this isn't the case because I think Matt Cardona is severely selling himself short and should not be anywhere on AEW television or Ring of Honor television. I think that would be the fucking death of Matt Cardona, honestly. Do you think Tony Khan is potentially thinking about giving Matt Cardona the championship, which would be ridiculous, but Jericho, how much value does Jericho have right now? Not much. Giving the title to Matt Cardona in hopes of them landing a TV deal with some, Vice or some rinky-dink station for Ring of Honor television. Do you see that being a possibility with him coming on in and them giving him the championship on Friday?
No. I think the reason they put the title on Jericho is because they feel like that could potentially help with negotiations with some of these networks. I don't know what networks they're talking to. And frankly, I don't even know what value there is in Jericho holding the title. I feel like if there's a network that has an opening for wrestling, they're going to either have the show or not, regardless of whether Chris Jericho is the champion at the time they make the deal. Cardona becoming champion, I don't see Cardona making a difference in any kind of TV deal. So would he put the title on Cardona with the idea that could help them land a deal somewhere? No. I think that's, if anything, they would keep the title on Jericho for that purpose. I think that he might put the title on Cardona if Cardona feels like there's a real chance of that to sign him. And I agree with you. I feel like if he signs with them, I could see him he seems like someone, and I don't know him personally, but I followed his career and it's pretty amazing. Even going back to the Zack Ryder days when he wasn't really being utilized, and he took it upon himself, right? True Long Island story, and he got himself over, which, funny enough, may have worked against him more than anything with the old regime. But even going back to those days, he's someone who, when he's not happy with the spot he's in, he tries to think outside the box, and he tries to create something out of nothing. And this indie run he's been on has been tremendously successful. But he made a comment not that long ago in an interview where he said he wants to go back to WWE. WWE is where he wants to go. He wants to end his career in WWE, and he will not be happy until he does that and has one more WrestleMania match. So if that's the end game for him, coupled with the fact that I just don't have a lot of faith that Tony would have a role for him that he would really be happy with, I feel like this would be a huge mistake. But if he is not getting any interest from WWE, what do you do? Do you say no to Tony Khan and the money he's offering him and the stability he's offering him, and he would still be able to work indies? That's the difference. So if he signs with AEW, he would still be able to book his own independent dates. Do you say no to that with the hope that maybe Triple H will come calling or texting one of these days, and to bring him in, not as Zack Ryder. He doesn't want to come back as Zack Ryder. Bring him in as Matt Cardona. That's I guess the decision that he would have to make.
Well, the better question is, why hasn't he been called yet? Or maybe he should follow the way that his wife did and call Triple H or text Triple H and say, "Hey, man, I want to come back."
We don't know that he hasn't done that.
Well, why hasn't he been brought back then? I mean, it's just, I don't want to say he is like a mirror image of Cody Rhodes, but he's taken the same direction that Cody Rhodes did when he left WWE and basically became a bigger star away from WWE than he was in WWE. So you would think that they would love that, because look at the star power and look at the work that he's accumulated for himself. They would be all over that, no?
You would think so. You would think you could take somebody like that who knows how to take the initiative and get himself over and can get heat, right? He doesn't have to come in as a babyface. He can come in as a heel. You would think that they could take somebody like that and find something for them to do and make money with them. But clearly, if they have not expressed an interest in bringing him in, they don't see him at that level of star as someone like a Cody or a McIntyre or someone like that. I mean, I'm not saying I see him in that way, but if they saw him in that way, dude, he would have been signed already. So you asked me the question, why haven't they signed him? There's your answer.
I don't know. I find it to be silly. Like, I mean,
it is silly. No, I'm not. Of course it's silly. But Triple H, if he saw something in him that's like, okay, we need this guy, he would have signed him a long time ago. He wouldn't have even been available to be working Final Battle this Friday. So whatever it is, they don't. Now, maybe it was all the years of him being Zack Ryder. Maybe in their mind, like, it's like the Dolph Ziggler thing where you're at a certain level for so long and people see you there. And it sucks because that's not his fault. That's just that's how they booked him. But when you're at that level for so long, maybe in their mind, they like, okay, that's as far as it goes for him. And we don't really have a need for someone like him right now because we have all these other guys and we have people calling up from the Performance Center. And we just don't have a role for Matt Cardona right now.
If they could bring Carlito back, they could bring Matt Cardona back, no?
Yes. But I also feel like they were very, I don't say duped, but they fell in love with that reaction he got, I think, in Puerto Rico. Yes. I mean, really, I think that's what it was. That opened their eyes like, holy shit, he's in great shape, right? He's a body guy now. And holy shit, listen to that pop when we hit his music. So what was the brilliant thing they did? They signed him, they brought him back, and the first thing they did was they changed his fucking music. Yep. Way to go. And so ever since then, now he's settled into this mid-card comedy role, basically. He's like the whipping boy of the Judgment Day. And that's it. He's never going to go any higher than that. Yes, if they can bring Carlito back, then there's no reason they can't do more with Matt Cardona. Cardona, I think, could do more than that. But I guess they just feel like there's only so many spots they have. But then why not bring him in for an NXT run first?
I agree. I just feel like the amount of money Tony's going to throw at someone like that, just to say I took him away from WWE, is going to be too too much for Matt Cardona to say no to. And I feel like it's going to be a mistake.
Well, okay, fine. If it's just about money, then take the deal that you're offered. You don't know if WWE is ever going to come around. So if Tony Khan is giving you the opportunity, it's like the Costco guys. I mean, they said they were hoping to do something with WWE. And so Sanjay Dutt heard this and he's like, oh shit, I got to call the Costco guys. And hey, we'd love to have you. So they're like, well, we didn't hear from WWE, but AEW is giving us a deal.
Tony's taking him on every fucking newscast that he could possibly find, flying him on the private jet. Yeah.
Boom. Boom.
Double chocolate chip cookies.
So that's how they ended up in AEW. They wanted to go to WWE. But again, if his goal, if his dream really is to end his career there and he wants another WrestleMania moment, I just think if that's truly how he feels, then he should go where his heart takes him. If he believes that he will one day be there, signing a 3-year deal or whatever it is with AEW, it comes with some risks. And you look at what's going on with some guys right now, whether it's Ricky Starks or Ray Phoenix, it's a risk. I feel like
Camille.
We could probably. Probably a longer list than even those 3. I just wanted to give a couple of examples. He feels like someone who wouldn't be happy if he just gets signed and then he's just another guy and they don't have anything for him. And I feel like he'd end up being miserable.
He would. He absolutely would. Tony's pettiness would get involved some way, shape, or form. And that'll be the end of that.
Not even pettiness. It's not even that. It's not even Tony's pettiness. Like he doesn't have to be petty. It could just be like, we'll sign you, but then they don't do anything with him.
Well,
and he gets frustrated.
Well, that's a given to happen.
Okay, so from the outside looking in, I mean, he's going to make whatever decision is in his best interest. I mean, it's his life, it's his career. But I'm just saying, knowing what we know about him and the career and the run that he's had, I feel like that is going to be a decision that he will end up regretting greatly. But if he gets an amazing financial opportunity and he's going to win the Ring of Honor World title in the Hammerstein Ballroom, it'll be one great moment. But then what happens next? If Tony wants to sign,
the greatest moment of his pro wrestling career is going to be?
I mean, greater than winning the Intercontinental title in front of 100,000 people or whatever they claimed at WrestleMania that year?
Yeah. Sure thing, guy.
All right. I mean, look, if it's a shorter term deal, if it's like a year, or 6 months,
I'd take a year. Why not?
Yeah. Okay. That might not be so bad. But it's when you get into these like 3-4 year deals and you just hear these stories about these guys that aren't happy or they're sitting at home and we don't know why they're not hurt. It's a risk that I don't think is worth taking if he has already on record as saying where he wants to end up.
Yeah. Agreed. Mm-hmm. 1 year is more than enough. If 6 months is possible, 6 months, but a year, that's the max there. Yeah. As far as Matt Cardona is concerned, he's done a lot of work with GCW, and his opponent, Chris Jericho, showed up at the highest in the room event for GCW to attack Matt Cardona and Effie on Saturday night during their match. A hooded individual got in the ring and took out Cardona with a baseball bat. This led to Effie pinning Cardona to win the match, only to be attacked by the mystery assailant. Jericho revealed his identity, and he was wearing an AEW shirt. Effie was filling in for Ricky Starks, who AEW pulled from his match against Cardona. The reason for him being pulled was due to comments made by Effie about AEW and Tony Khan and Tony Khan's father. Now, the angle was shot to build to the match between Jericho and Cardona at Ring of Honor Final Battle on Friday. Meltzer noted in The Observer that Jericho's appearance was not detailed. So I saw this, Jason, and the only thing that I could possibly come up with here as a summary as to why Jericho was allowed, who is an AEW talent and is probably in the ear of Tony Khan more than we care to know. He's an AEW talent after they pulled Ricky Starks from all GCW shows. All AEW talent has been pulled from GCW shows. Ricky Starks and, as of late, Willie Mack was the latest one that we talked about last week. But Jericho, somehow, some way, is allowed to show up on GCW. The one thing that I said is the optics of this, how this looks, is terrible. Because you're not allowing Ricky Starks on this show, but Jericho is allowed to go show up on a GCW show, all because he's got a final battle match with Matt Cardona on Friday at the Hammerstein Ballroom. That's bullshit. Stop throwing dirt on Ricky Starks when you've done enough digging and burying of Ricky Starks than we really want to see. Secondly, the way that I look at it is I feel like someone got into Tony's ear because a lot of people are like, oh, JD and Solomonster, they got worked. This didn't start off as a fucking work. This started off as a legit Tony pulled these people because Tony got upset with Effie in the comments that he made. Jericho, I'm just assuming here, this is just me. Someone got in Tony's ear, Jericho, and said, we got to work something here. We got to figure something out. We got to make something out of this. And Tony said, sure, go do what you got to do. And Tony Khan's not going to say no to Chris Jericho. So this was a actual shoot that turns into a work. People think it's a work from the beginning, but all of a sudden the optics of it look fucking terrible for Ricky Starks. What did you think about this situation when you heard this story?
Well, I mean, I thought, look, this is an example of taking something negative and trying to turn it into a positive, because the whole situation was ridiculous. And I looked at this and thought, okay, it could be. I'm not going to rule out the possibility that maybe it was a work from the start. I don't think it was, but I don't think we could rule it out completely. I think what will tell the tale, though, is the Ricky Starks thing, because if this was all just the work, and frankly, even if it wasn't, but they're now on the same page, then Ricky Starks should immediately be allowed to rebook some of those dates with GCW. So if he was going to be on their Hammerstein show originally on the 19th next month, then he should be allowed to be on that show. It's only fair. Because if this was not a work, and they were able to patch things up enough to where Jericho made his appearance, and they're at least kind of sort of working together now, but Ricky Starks is still, not allowed, or he can't get those dates back, that's bullshit. I mean, that is bullshit. So that has to be rectified immediately if that's the case. Because just the idea, like you said, just the idea that you pull Ricky from those shows, but then there's Chris fucking Jericho
wearing an AEW shirt.
Yeah, with his AEW t-shirt flying the flag, is just such unbelievable bullshit that I just can't hardly stand it. And that has to be corrected as soon as possible. I would love nothing more than for Ricky Starks to show up on Friday at Final Battle and be inserted into this whole thing in some. Maybe Effie will be there. Like, turn it into something, right? Do something with Ricky instead of just benching him for the next 6 or 9 months. Same thing with Ray Phoenix. I wish that if you're going to keep the guy under contract and add time to it, at least do something with him. I think that would be great because it gets Ricky in the mix. He'll be doing something. I don't have a lot of optimism that's what's going to happen here. But what a slap in his face. If it just works out where they settled things and they turned this very real situation into a work to try to do business, but Ricky gets caught in the crosshairs through no fault of his own, right? I mean, it was just some dates that he booked. He wants to work. He wants to get out there. He wants to do something. And Jericho ends up, taking his spot. Like, you got to be fucking kidding me.
I mean, the inn is there. The inn is there for Ricky to attack Jericho and give the title to Cardona or whichever. Get him involved in any way on the show.
Yeah, just get him. Whatever he's going to do, just get him involved in some way. Get people talking. Absolutely, the opportunity is there. Are they going to take advantage of it? Probably not.
No.
Effie, I could see Effie making some kind of appearance at Final Battle. They have their own Hammerstein show coming up in a month. If they really have put their issues to bed, then they can use this as an opportunity to kind of promote, the GCW show as well. So it could become a mutually beneficial thing. But the Ricky Starks thing is what stands out to me. And, let's see what happens this weekend. But if he's not around and he's just not part of any of this, he really got the short end of the stick.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. I guess I'll wait and see for Friday, but I'm not holding out hope to see Ricky. But no. You will be seeing Ricky Starks soon enough. Don't worry about it. AEW. We'll end with AEW and then we'll get to your super chats. Thank you guys for a great stream. We have 2,600 plus. We got 800 likes. I'd love to see 1,000 likes. There's no reason why we can't get 1,000 likes.
That'd be amazing. I mean, you guys can pull your Super Cena comeback and get us across the finish line.
There you go. I mean, listen to the Solomonster. 800 likes right now, 805 to be exact. We need less than 200 there for 1,000, so I really appreciate it. And if you guys want to get your super chats in, I see Sidro is already lined up with jokes. So be like Sidro and get those super chats in. And we'll hang out at the end of the show in just a little bit. Dynamite this Wednesday, Holiday Bash, is shaping up to be this. Shelton Benjamin versus the Beast Mortos in a Continental Classic Blue League match.
It feels like a collision match, but like,
I'm sorry.
I think that's going to be a hell of a match. Like, Shelton Benjamin has not missed since he arrived in AEW, and Mortos can go. So both matches, that one and the other one, of course, the big one, first time ever.
Will Ospreay versus Darby Allin.
Will Ospreay against Darby Allin, and I was looking forward to that from the minute that I, realized they were in the same group, but then they announced it would be on this show, and they first announced it 2 weeks ago. So it is a big match, but don't sleep on the Benjamin Mortos match. That one's going to be, I don't want to say it's going to be better than the Ospreay Darby one, but I think it's going to be pretty damn good. So at least as far as those Continental Classic matches go tomorrow night, like those two are going to be a lot of fun.
You guys are getting Beast Mortos on Wednesday, and you're also getting JD Graham on Wednesday. It's unbelievable. There you go.
Yeah, we haven't had any updates on Hologram, man. He's nursing his injuries.
No. Tony is waiting with bated breath to get Hologram back on television. Continental Classic. How you liking the Classic so far, Jason? I feel with my disenfranchised mindset with the AW product, I'm not enjoying it as much as I was last year. Not to say that the matches haven't been great. I mean, the matches itself have been very good, but I'm not as invested in it this year as I was last year. How are you feeling about the whole tournament?
Yeah, I'm not as invested in it in the same way that I was last year. I don't think it has anything to do with, remember last year, Eddie Kingston put his Triple Crown or whatever it was on the line. I don't give a shit about that, but we've got some really good matches. Not a lot of compelling story, but they're using it, for example, as a way to continue to get over Kyle Fletcher, which is great. They have their guy and they're trying to get him over, and there's nothing wrong with that. So they've been doing that, and we've gotten some really good wrestling matches. Nothing more, nothing less. I haven't seen all of them. I've seen most of the matches. Some of the matches on the weekend I didn't see. But yeah, not the same level of investment I had in year one here in year two.
Yeah, I know Fletcher lost to Briscoe on Saturday night, which apparently was a banger match. I was actually surprised by that outcome. I thought Fletcher was just going to clean sweep into the semifinals, but they gave Mark Briscoe the big victory. So right now he is still atop his league as far as the Continental Classic, and you got those two matches happening on Wednesday. Mercedes defends the TBS Championship against Anna Jay, and the Death Riders, Jon Moxley, Pac, and Wheeler Yuta against Jay White, Orange Cassidy, and Adam Hangman Page. And Tony is taking a page out of Vince's book, Can They Coexist, pal? On Wednesday night in the main event. Great.
Well, I mean, that's what we had. That's what we had in Bad Blood with Roman and Cody. Can they coexist, right? They both do it.
I guess.
It's a story as old as time here in wrestling. Can they coexist?
MJF will be on the show, and we'll hear from him. Finally. Fucking guy.
Finally. We're going to hear from him, but that doesn't mean he's going to actually be there on the show. Like, I'm tired of this shit, man. I'm going to hear from MJF. This time he'll be in a fucking supermarket somewhere shopping or something.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like he spends more time outside of the arena than in it.
Listen, man, I got to ask you, because I said this to Jesse on Wednesday, man. The fucking non-entity that he was on Wednesday during that Kyle O'Reilly Adam Cole match on Dynamite. Bro, I swear to God, man, I thought they legitimately hired someone to be a cosplay of MJF, because we didn't see his face until he actually jumped on the apron and then jumped into the crowd. I thought they hired someone to play him because they didn't bring him to the fucking venue.
They were wearing an MJF mask during the fucking show.
Like they just hired someone to wear a scarf and just pretend to be MJF. I didn't think we even see him.
Let's put a casting call out. Let's see if we can get an MJF clone here to be on the show. He's a little busy tonight. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. I mean, I know he's been filming movies, whatever. the show has been lacking without him there in person, and then they finally get him, and he does nothing. Like, he said nothing. He basically did nothing. It's like, what a freaking waste. Why even have him on the show if that's all you're gonna do with him? He's another one, you know, as great as he is, he just is he feels like a total non-factor. I mean, ever since the end of the summer. And I know, again, he's missed time because he's been filming, but like, just even with him being back in these vignettes and everything, just a total non-factor. It's sad because he should be like one of those top 3 guys right now. And it's just like, I can't bring myself to give a shit about any of this stuff. Don't even get me started on the Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly stuff.
It's awful. Like, I don't know why the Dynamite Diamond Ring is even on the line. I don't know what that has to do with anything. And the match last week with Cole and O'Reilly was fucking absolutely boring. You could bring a pillow and fall asleep. That's how fucking quiet it was in that venue. I don't get it. I don't really know. As far as the main event, we got Mina and Mariah in the main event for the Women's Championship, which obviously saw the return of Toni Storm. She's rocker Toni Storm. She's not timeless anymore. And this led way to some upset fans, Jason, even some of the sickos, because Tony is losing his mind slowly but surely. Apparently, this is coming from the Observer. Not everything that they say is legit, but I truly believe Brian Alvarez when he said this, that people were appalled at Toni Storm's return, her in-ring return, under this new but old gimmick of rocker Toni Storm is happening on Rampage. He says this, and I quote, "Hey, you called it during the break." I'm guessing he's talking to Dave. "There are people that will argue anything. Do you know how many people I talked to in AEW yesterday, and every single last one of them were aghast. That might not even be the right word. Appalled that Toni Storm's return happened on Rampage. Meanwhile, leave it to the fans, leave it to the wackos. This is a great idea. He's got to give his fans a worthwhile show those last 3 weeks of the canceled show. Meanwhile, there's actually other shows that aren't going to be canceled. Like, God forbid we put this return on Collision or on Dynamite, or better yet, even World's End." End quote.
Wait a minute. So are they wackos or are they sickos?
He called them wackos. That's what wackos. It says in the quote.
Okay. All right. Either one works, I guess. So.
Yeah, I mean, one of the same. I don't even know, man. Am I surprised? No, but listen, the rating came in, and apparently it was 283,000. I mean, they did just as. I think they actually did more than Collision on Saturday night because Collision went up against Saturday night's main event. Regardless, the fucking show is dead, Jason. The show's getting canceled for all we know in 3 weeks. Toni Storm is the biggest name in that entire division and the most over star in that division, even with Mercedes being there. Why couldn't he promote this for Dynamite if the rating was such it was easily a 100,000 viewer increase from week to week on Rampage? Why couldn't he save that for Dynamite, or better yet, a Collision? But Dynamite is the place I would have did it. Why didn't he build this up for something on Wednesday, and why did he put it on Wednesday? What did you think of that when you seen that spoiler come out?
Well, when I initially saw it, I agreed, and I said, why is this happening on Rampage? And then I got a sense of where they're going with it. And it actually doesn't bother me as much. I feel like people are freaking out over this, and it's like, okay, pump the brakes here. Because when I saw her come out on Wednesday, I said, okay, well, we're done with the timeless gimmick, right? She did all she can. She did an amazing job with it. And now it's back to, the next evolution or just the old Toni Storm. And then when I heard about the spoilers, and then I watched it after the fact, I did watch the match that she had. And even during the match, like some of the mannerisms and everything, it was almost like she was briefly like lapsing back into the old timeless gimmick, and then she would snap out of it. And then they had her wrestle on Collision as well. And so she wrestled on Collision, and I think it was against Shaz and McKenzie. And then after the match, she gets on the mic and she's talking like, I got a big announcement to share with everybody. Toni Storm is all elite, right? And she's like, it's like she's either doing the amnesia angle like Cactus Jack did in WCW many years ago, where he just doesn't remember who he is. There's this huge chunk of his memory that just disappeared. Or this is the greatest performance yet by timeless Toni Storm playing the old Toni Storm. And so I look at it as, okay, I kind of see maybe where he's going with this, and that the in-ring return we got on Friday wasn't really her return. Like, timeless Toni Storm is coming back. That's the real return. And if he's trying to quickly give her some wins to build her up for a match with Mariah at World's End, okay, we have to have her win a few matches real quick so we can justify doing that title match. Then I kind of understand it. If they're not doing that and they're going to do Thunder Rosa and Mariah May 1st, which I think is a possibility, then obviously the match with Mariah and Toni is going to be held off a little bit longer. I think all roads lead to Australia in February, and we're going to have the return of timeless Toni Storm there. But that's the real return. So her being rocker Toni Storm, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but like, that's not the real story here. That's not the real return.
I know, but she's back wrestling though.
Yeah, but so what? Do you honestly think in the grand scheme of things, it's going to make a fucking difference if Toni Storm is wrestling a match on Dynamite this Wednesday as opposed to on Rampage on Friday? Obviously, Dynamite will have a bigger audience, yes. But, like, she's not a ratings draw. If Toni Storm was a demonstrated draw, I would say, of course, don't burn your draw on a dead show that I think is being discontinued as of December 27th. Don't burn her on a Collision that you know is not going to do well because you got Saturday night's main event airing that night. Save her for your Holiday Bash show. Nobody in this company is a draw. Okay, like ratings wise, like let's just be honest. Nobody is a draw. Tell me who is a ratings draw right now in this company?
Not a single soul.
No one. And there have been times over the years where certain people, like I remember when Darby Allin was TNT champion the first time after he beat Cody. And I remember, like, when his matches or his segments would come on, there was like a noticeable spike.
I'm sorry, there is one draw, Punk.
No, I mean currently. I'm not talking fucking 2 years ago.
Even now, back in April, he's still a draw. I don't know.
Oh, okay, yeah. So CM Punk is still the biggest draw in AEW, which I think speaks horribly to their ability to create new draws. No one is a draw. It's not going to matter, dude. Like, honestly, it's not going to matter. I would absolutely be on the train with you if Toni Storm was like a demonstrated draw. Why would you waste it on a Friday night show that gets no ratings? But it doesn't matter. And so if this is the story they're telling, then I don't really have an issue with it. In fact, I actually was going to put them over because there was a segment, I don't know if you saw this, on Collision. Did you see the backstage interview with her?
With Thunder Rosa?
No. That was a different one. There was I think it was Collision. There was a segment where she's standing in the hallway in the back, and she's being interviewed, and she's like, oh, I can't believe it. Ever since I was a little girl, 10 years old, this is what I've been waiting for. I'm here in AEW. And she looks over, and off in the distance down the hallway, she spots Mark Briscoe, and she goes, Mark, it's Toni Storm. And the camera pans over, and you see Mark Briscoe off in the distance, and he's just standing there, and he has the biggest, like, what the fuck? Like, look on his face. Doesn't say anything. He's just standing there like, what the hell's going on here? And then they just pan back to her. I fucking died. I'm like, okay, that's high comedy right there. So, like, I get what they're doing, and I like it, and it doesn't bother me that they put her return match on Friday, because in the grand scheme, it doesn't matter.
So are you along the lines of giving them the benefit of the doubt here? Do you honestly think they're going to? I mean, they almost have to. I think it would be fucking unbelievable if they don't promote the timeless Toni Storm in-ring return before she actually comes out and just breaks into it again, or is that something that they're not going to do?
I think that she probably has a level of involvement with her creative for this that I do have faith in.
Okay.
Because her story, and I think they mentioned like RJ City had a lot to do also with that story that played out over the past year. So I don't know who all the figures who might be involved in this. My guess is that she's got some level of involvement in this. And since that was one of the best stories that they ever told, I do. I have faith that if she's involved and she's very hands-on with this, let's say, I have faith that it will play out the way it's supposed to play out, and I won't look back at it and go, man, they fucked this up. So I actually do have faith in this. This is one of those few stories that I feel like they have a plan for. and they're not going to screw it up. And when we get the timeless return, it's going to be on like a big show like Dynamite, and it'll get a great reaction, and it'll all be fine.
All right, I could see that. I could see that being the case. I mean, you make it sound not as egregious as we made it sound on social media. As far as the women's championship, though, you mentioned Mariah May and Toni potentially at World's End. It is official. Mariah May will be defending against Thunder Rosa in a Tijuana street fight.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that match was official because she was in the crowd holding up signs on Wednesday.
Well, how it came about, I don't. I mean, fucking Thunder Rosa has been wrestling Harley Cameron for the last 3 months, so I don't know how that came about. But
you know what? Well, it's funny you mentioned her. I was actually going to mention something about her because I haven't. Again, I don't watch Rampage anymore, and Collision. I try to catch what I can when I can, so I don't see everything Harley Cameron is involved in. Harley Cameron has turned into a very entertaining performer, and she's somebody to watch for because I think that she is someone. I don't know what her contract situation is or anything like that, but she's someone who I could see doing bigger things somewhere else one day.
Yeah, she's got that Chelsea Green vibe about her. She's just taking whatever they give her and she's making it work.
She's very entertaining, and I don't know if you saw she opened a cameo. And or maybe she had one, but she's doing like these special holiday greetings, and she has a ventriloquist dummy. And so in the preview video, she's doing her act. So she's a ventriloquist as well.
So she's a singer, a ventriloquist, and a pro wrestler.
She does it all, man. Like there's nothing this woman can do.
Well,
like she's multi-talented. So I feel like we need to see more of Harley Cameron.
I don't know.
They got some gems there, man. They got some gems there.
I know. I wish the gem was the fucking one writing the show, but he's not. So,
well, I'm just saying, like, just keep your eye on her because I think that there could be much bigger things for her in the future.
So yeah, that's what's going on there. World's End is shaping up like this. We got pretty much most of World's End already set. We got the AEW World Championship, Jon Moxley, Orange Cassidy, Switchblade Jay White, Adam Hangman Page, Fatal 4-Way, World Championship. That's the main event. Mariah May, Thunder Rosa, Tijuana Street Fight, AEW Women's Championship. We're going to have the Continental Classic, Blue League, and Gold League semifinals, and then the final in the same show. I don't know how that's going to work. I was thinking the other day, I'm like, this tournament, especially in the later stages of the tournament, is going to be hellacious for whoever's in there. So you're going to be asking these guys to go out there and wrestle 2 matches to potentially win this tournament. That's going to be... Whoever it's going to be fucking one hell of a night of work. That's all I know.
Oh, I mean, Bret Hart wrestled 3 times in one night to win the King of the Ring with broken fingers. Oh, they'll be fine. They'll be fine.
Well, and he had to go through Razor, Perfect, and Bam Bam. So I mean,
that's all in the same night. Remember, he had the fingers taped together too. Like,
and that Perfect match was enough. That was enough in one match than the whole fucking tournament for everybody else. To be honest with
you. Absolutely.
And then we have Konosuke Takeshita defending against Powerhouse Hobbs. That's the International Championship. I guess that happened on Rampage. I don't know why Hobbs is getting a championship match, but here we are. And then MJF versus Adam Cole for the Dynamite Diamond Ring. Not booked in a match so far. Danny Garcia, who's the TNT champion, who feels ice cold after winning it. Mercedes, who's ice cold, TBS championship. But apparently her match with Hazuki, some people were saying, is the best women's match of the entire year. I haven't watched it yet. I have this inkling to go and watch it tonight. I don't know.
Well, she's also wrestling Mina Shirakawa in a double title match at Wrestle Dynasty at the Tokyo Dome, which is going to be her first Dome match. I mean, she debuted there at the Tokyo Dome, but this is her first wrestling match there. So, yeah, I know for her that's a big deal. I could see her dropping the title there, and it's not the TBS title; it's the New Japan Strong Women's title.
Yeah,
I could see a title change happening there, but Mercedes and Mina, that's going to be something to see.
Belt collector Mercedes possibility.
Yeah, possibility, but this is the first time where it really feels like she might lose that title.
What'd you think of the post-match dance along there between them?
It was something. It was something. I mean, Mina can't be beat though. Mina's got the moves down.
Yes.
Private
Party they have no match at the. I mean, I guess whoever wins this fucking little mini exhibition here between.
What happened to the Outrunners? What happened to them?
I don't know.
Were they over?
They are over. They actually, believe it or not, again outsold everybody on the active roster on Shop AEW as far as merchandise.
Okay.
For the month of November.
You would think that sends a message. I guess we'll find out.
Mr. Analytic over there, I don't know what's going on. And then the World Trio Championships, Claudio, Pac, and Wheeler Yuta have no match. So we got all those championships not on the line there at Worlds. I think we're good with what we got, honestly. Maybe one more match. 8 is a nice number.
You think they're going to stop there? What are you out of your mind? We're going to get at least 4 added this week, probably. So.
I just jinxed us. Yeah, that's what's going on there. And AEW Dynamite, Jason and I will cover that tomorrow on our respective channels. You guys know where to find us. And that wraps up episode 77 of TNT. There you go. We're going to get into your super chats in just a second. Make sure you guys follow us on social media at JD from NY206, at Solomonster on X. Make sure you guys go find us. Everything you need is linked down below in the description below. Go follow Jason on YouTube as well and kindly hit that subscribe button over there. He is nearing, 83,000?
83,000.
Okay. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. We need 63 more likes for 1,000. So make sure you guys go and do that. Super chats are open and will remain open. So make sure you guys get those in. And as you guys know on this end, same thing applies. Hit that subscribe button down below. We just hit 164. And I appreciate all of your support here on Tuesday night. We're going to start with OTS Tribal Queen. Thank you for the recommitment. Thank you for becoming a longtime member here on the channel. Appreciate you. Ali with a $5 super chat. Hey, JD, Jason, do y'all think Adam Cole made a mistake by choosing AEW over WWE the way now Triple H is running things in WWE?
No, because at the time it was the right move to make.
Yes.
There was no way for him to know what was going to happen the following year. Unfortunately, it worked out the way it did because I do think that if he was booked by Triple H knew what he had in Adam Cole. He didn't want to lose him. But it was a move that he had to make. I mean, do we have to go through the stories again about, possibly making him a manager and all that? Like, come on. It was the right move at the time.
Changing his name.
Cutting his hair.
Taking his fucking catchphrase away. One of the things that actually pushed him over to AEW is the fact that Vince did not allow him to stream on Twitch. So that's one of the primary reasons. That's fucking sad. Yeah. Lauren with a 2, and a 5. Hey guys, so Cody will be back January 6th or the Royal Rumble? I think Cody will be back for that Monday Night Raw January 6th.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not gonna hold him out all the way until the Rumble. So even if it wasn't January 6th, he'll be back well before the Rumble.
She also says, was Britt Baker suspended again? I haven't seen her. Well, the last time we saw Britt Baker, she wrestled somebody. I forgot who it was. And then Serena Deeb came out waving her Deeb flag, and Britt Baker was audibly heard on camera saying, nobody cares. That was the last we saw of Britt Baker.
She looked directly into the camera and said nobody cares.
Yes.
But then I thought Deeb was coming out with like a shirt or something, playing off the whole thing. So I thought they were incorporating it into their angle.
We haven't seen her on TV though.
We have not. And I don't know what's going on with her. I really don't.
Me neither. I've given up.
It's just ridiculous. It's just, what's the point? Well, you can't even invest. I mean, she was gone for so long, came back, got suspended for a few weeks. But just can't get any traction. So what's the point?
She also says early Mania predictions: Rhea versus Bianca, Orton versus Owens, Cody versus Rock, Punk versus Rollins, Gunther versus Cena, Solo versus Roman, McIntyre versus Zayn, New Day versus Raiders. Some of that could be correct.
I think a lot of it is plausible. I don't want to see Roman and Solo at WrestleMania.
No, I think that is a one and done after January 6th. You know what we forgot to talk about? I'm going to lower this music for a second. I got to give him my creative idea. What about this, Jason? I talked about this, and I'm sad that I didn't bring this up during the Raw discussion. McIntyre was brawling with Zayn after the fact, and there was an alliance there potentially between Rollins and McIntyre because they had a backstage interaction, and McIntyre clearly said that they have some common ground because of Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins doesn't want anything to do with that. He's got to go take care of Punk first. But As far as McIntyre is concerned, do you potentially see because he said, one down, four to go. We don't know who the fourth is. Jimmy, Jay, Sami. It could be Punk. It could be Solo. We don't know who the fourth is. Do you see McIntyre potentially aiding in the Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa match by targeting Roman and by taking the Ulafala and giving it to The Rock on January 6th, potentially? Do you see him getting involved in that match?
The Rock, no. McIntyre, yes. I said that in my review last week because it just seemed like he was going after the people from the War Games match. But whether it's War Games specifically or just anybody who, has kind of associated with Punk. But you said who are the other people? He beat Sami on Saturday, and as he was walking back, did you see the video of him walking back to the locker room that he posted on his Twitter?
Yes, I did.
Well, okay, so but Sami's gone. He goes 4 to go. So Sami's not part of the 4. So I was talking to my review. I said, okay, well, who are the other 4? If Sami is technically 5, right? Who are the other 4? Jimmy, Jay, who he's already attacked. So then who are the other 2? Is it Roman and Punk? Which the Punk thing is just, it's done, right? I mean, there's no need for him to go after Punk again. So it made me wonder if he meant Roman and Solo. Maybe Solo's on his list.
Well, Solo screwed him out of the championship at Clash of the Castle, but Solo also helped him beat Cody Rhodes on the road to WrestleMania. If you guys remember in the chat,
he did. But again, so who would that 4th person be then? If Sami is not included, he goes 1 down, 4 to go. Sami is the 1 down. Jimmy and Jay, and then who are the other 2? Roman and who else?
My first guess was Punk.
That was my first guess too, but do we really need to be going back to McIntyre and Punk again?
At some point, not now. At some point when one of them is a champion, I think we revisit that. But my logic was maybe McIntyre gets involved in this match on Monday, and maybe McIntyre takes confiscation of the Ulafala and gives it to The Rock, because some people were telling me, remember when McIntyre re-upped with the WWE, The Rock sent him a fucking medieval sword. I don't know if it had any family, inspiration behind it, sitting at the dinner table with his wife. Maybe that's a repayment back to The Rock to give The Rock the Ulafala. I don't know. I mean, it's fucking wild, but it could absolutely work and would fucking set the whole show on fire.
Well, McIntyre interfering in that match, yes. I think that's going to happen because I think Roman is one of his targets. So that would make sense. Him taking the Ulafala and giving it to The Rock, like the Ulafala signifies tribal chief. Rock is above that. So I don't know about him giving it to The Rock. Unless the idea is that he gives it to The Rock for The Rock to give to somebody else. But The Rock doesn't need the Ulafala. The Rock, I think he's above that. So I don't know about that part. So McIntyre getting involved, yes. The Rock part, I don't think so.
Well, then maybe he helps Solo Sikoa beat Roman Reigns. I have no idea.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know either. The thought that I had last night, that segment in the back where it looked like he was coming after Rollins and then Sami cut him off. They're teasing first segment earlier in the night. It looked like they were teasing an alliance possibly in the future down the road between Rollins and McIntyre. And my first thought was like Kevin Owens, I think down the road could fit into that too. I could see that expanding to where he's included, especially, remember he said, we'll cross that bridge with Sami when we get to it. I haven't forgotten about him. So we know that he's going to come back around to Sami Zayn and him teaming with Roman in War Games. Could we, in early 2025, potentially be looking at this sort of loose alliance of various people that have been wronged by the bloodline and or CM Punk, and could Kevin Owens be involved in that?
I would like to see that.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to explore also.
Who knows how Randy Orton's going to fit into that? Maybe we got a modern day 4 Horsemen on WWE TV.
Could be interesting. I don't think Randy would be with them though.
Well, I mean, he's got his thing with, he never got his revenge on Roman Reigns, mind you.
Yeah, but him and Owens, after what Owens did to him.
I mean,
got dropped on his head.
The hatred for Cody Rhodes, man. I'll tell you, Cody Rhodes is the fucking fire starter to all this, man. There may be some common ground there. I don't know.
All right, well, we'll see. But it's an interesting idea, I think, if they want to explore it. Very
interesting. I wonder what McIntyre's going to do at WrestleMania. It's going to be It's going to be a big situation for him. He's got to be in something important.
Could be Roman.
Yeah. Yeah, or Cena. Maybe.
Yeah.
Lauren, thank you. Brendan with a $4.99. What are the best matches on ECW One Night Stand pay-per-views? Oh, boy. Masato Tanaka versus Mike Awesome is number 1.
John Cena and RVD at the second one.
Sabu versus Rey Mysterio. Tommy Dreamer and... Who was it? Tommy Dreamer and...
well, it
Terry
was a
Funk
tag match. Yeah,
against Edge and Mick Foley. Yeah,
Edge and Mick Foley.
Yeah.
Well, I just remember the Edge. Was the Edge pin on Beulah?
Oh yeah, yes it was. Yes,
that's one of that and Terry Funk screaming about his eye.
Yeah,
are like the two big takeaways I got from that match.
That was a great match. The flaming 2x4 just fucking put it over the edge.
Yeah,
there's a lot, man. Both of those shows are great. Vincent with the 31 months. Here's the number 1 duo in the whole effing IWC, JD and the Solomon. I said thank you, Vincent.
Cheers.
King Mo with a $4.99. I saw the Leo Rush versus Broadway match. You're a natural on commentary. I feel you could do bigger things. That was pretty cool. I see your passion. OTS for life. Yes. Someone asked me what my favorite call was on House of Glory for commentary. Leo Rush versus Ken Broadway, number 2. Was my favorite. I mentioned also the no ropes match between Gangone and Red. Mm-hmm. I mentioned the I think it was Sami Callihan and Penta versus LAX. Matt Travis versus Ken Broadway in a steel cage match. There's a couple of matches there, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mason and La Sombra's got to be up there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Is that your favorite?
I think so.
Okay.
And I hate his guts, but I think so. Yeah.
We got Jake something and Jacob Fatu. Not Jacob Fatu. Zilla Fatu.
Holy shit! I was like, man, I got to prepare my notes for this show. Jacob Fatu.
I was thinking Jacob Fatu, man. Yeah, it's Zilla Fatu. Friday night. That's gonna be a banger match right there. Edward with a $4.99. Given it's the end of the year and channeling some Chris Van Vliet, what are you both most grateful for during 2024? Looking forward to TNT in 25, JD and Jason. Very good question.
Well, all of the, I think in both cases, all of the success and growth of our respective, channels and shows, and good health. Because there are a lot of people who don't have it right now. And, I think if you don't have that, honestly, and it's been said, it's kind of corny, but it's true. If you don't have your health, you have nothing.
Yeah, take care of yourself, guys. I've tried to, I've actually kind of gotten off my path a little bit, but I'm going to get back on it. But yeah, Jason said it perfectly. I appreciate you.
Don't tell me you're going to be one of these new year, new me people.
No, I hate that. I think that's cringy. Now, I could be a new me any day. I could be a new me in fucking April. It doesn't matter. I don't have to start January.
Well, you're going to be a new you tomorrow night. You're going to be JD Graham. So
yes, I am.
You're going to be a whole new person.
King Mo and Edward, thank you guys. Zeno with a $20 super chat. So let me get this straight. Cody teams with his friends' enemies, cheats to win, and pretends to be the good guy. Careful, Cody. Your Homelander's showing. Also, Solo, about my outfit. Call me Ranch the way I be dressing. What about his outfit?
Wait. Who are we talking about again? Remind me. I was looking at something in the chat.
Also, Solo, about my outfit.
No,
Zeno Zero.
Oh, Zeno Zero?
Yeah.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Call me Ranch?
It's a joke, but I thought like there was a photo I was supposed to have seen of like his actual outfit, but I think he was just being funny.
Oh, okay. And Homelander Cody? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I like for Cody to go a little more heelish, but I don't think they're going to push him that far.
No.
Edmund Van Buren with a 199. Be the booker. Who wins? Mil Muertes or Jacob Fatu? That's a... Ooh.
Oh, man. That's a match I'd love to see.
Mil Muertes was a fucking monster, man. Holy shit.
Mil Muertes with Katrina with the lick of death.
Yeah.
It's my favorite move, right? I probably would... It's close, but I'd go Jacob Fatu.
Yeah, I'd probably go Jacob Fatu too.
Those Samoans, man, they you can't count them out.
What is Mil Muertes doing now? Anything?
I don't know. I think he's back in Mexico working down there. I haven't heard recently, so I don't know.
Surprised Tony hasn't brought him up to Dynamite. Chaotic with a 499.
Well, I mean, if you can't get Hologram back soon, he might have to. You can bring him in to wrestle the Beast Mortos.
Why not? Yeah. Chaotic with a 499. Hey guys, question: has Cody Rhodes gotten stale, or are fans going fickle again? I think Cody will pull a CM Punk 2012 face to heel turn. What fans are you talking about? This is the best Cody Rhodes has looked all year.
Yeah, this feud with Owens is the best thing he's done since WrestleMania.
Stale. It's the best. The second biggest storyline on television.
Yeah, I mean, he was teaming with Roman a couple months ago in the biggest match of Bad Blood, and then he started this thing with Owens when Owens attacked him outside the bus. It's turned into one of the most interesting stories they have going right now.
MGM Ballin with a 499. Can I come to Hog early on Friday if I didn't get a meet and greet ticket? I want to get a good spot to stand for the show. Can't wait. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's an 8 o'clock start, and usually the doors open for an 8 o'clock start, usually 5:30ish.
Yep.
5:36.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you get there, there'll be a line outside, and when they start letting people in, you can get in, and if you get there around that time, you can pretty much pick the seat you want.
Yep. Hardcore Kevin with a $5 super chat. JD, what will you get Solomonster or Jesse for Christmas? And just a random ass question, can we see you and Jason play some Minecraft together one day? Hardcore Kevin, thank you for the $5 super chat. If I was to get Jason anything, I'd get him a nice bottle of whiskey, because I'm sure he's out of the Gentleman Jack that I got him. And
well, I also have this bottle of apple Jack.
That's good. Honey Jack is good too.
It's all right, but the apple, I enjoy it more than I thought I would.
Yeah. And Jason playing Minecraft, I can't see that ever happening.
I don't think I've ever played Minecraft in my life, so I wouldn't even know what I'm doing.
Thank you.
I played The Sims once upon a time.
Yes, the Sims is actually not bad.
Yeah.
Hardcore Kevin, thank you, brother. Zero Kaiba with 32 months. JD, I used your code on Game Time to save $20 on some concert tickets for my friends and I. Wanted to say thank you. Happy holidays to you and Solo. Well, enjoy whatever you're going to go see, brother.
Enjoy the Taylor Swift concert, brother.
Yeah. Hopefully it's a good one. OTS Tribal Queen with 36 months. 3 years. Incredible or indescribable experience here on OTS. Well, thank you for being here for 36 months. That's a long time, OTS Tribal Queen. Cake with 36 months. Your WWE champion died to a package pile driver, and Triple H said it made 50 million views on IG. Thanks, Triple H, for the very important update.
Yeah, Joe Tessitore, he was celebrating 45 million views on social media as they showed an image of Cody in a neck brace strapped to a gurney. It's like, maybe dial it back a little bit.
We got 1,000 likes. Thank you guys for hitting the goal. Learning Sicko Dr. Bropio with a $5 super chat. Kevin Owens should be suspended or fired for his uncalled attack on his coworker and fighting his boss. AEW would surely never let this happen. Laughing emoji. Well, I mean, didn't FTR get fucking smuggled on Collision and nobody said a fucking word?
Basically. They only got smothered and kidnapped. Yes. But then again, I mean, so did Jack Perry got kidnapped, and he got taken to some warehouse somewhere. Nobody seemed to give a shit. They left him there.
Nope.
So
Orange Cassidy's getting fucking bleach thrown on his face. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, he's getting like ethered, and nobody seems to care. So,
who's running this shit show, man?
I don't know.
Michelle with a 5. Not to spoil next Monday, but could Drew form an alliance with Bloodline 2.0 to take down the OG Bloodline? At WrestleMania, who would you have go over, Seth or Punk? Drew having an alliance with Bloodline 2.0. I mean, anything's possible, Michelle. And I think we go 3 matches with Punk and Seth. I think we get Punk winning the first, Seth winning the second, and Punk ultimately winning the feud.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it depends on who goes over on January 6th. But I right now, as I sit here, I think that Rollins... I would favor Rollins in a WrestleMania match with Punk.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Will it be for the title or not? We'll see. Otis with 35 months. What's up, fam? This was a great show. Always love being here, supporting the podcast, not going nowhere. Hashtag OTS Bloodline, and he throws up the ones. Thank you, brother. Sarit Mohanty. When do you feel Jacob Fatu turns on Solo and gets a major singles push? Plans for Fatu at Mania, Solo versus Fatu at Mania. That's a possibility. I'd love to see Solo. It all depends on if he loses the Ulafala, because he did say when Roman gets back, or if Roman gets back to Ulafala, everybody has to acknowledge him as the tribal chief. I don't think Jacob Fatu is going to fall in line with that. We'll see. But I think that's a good WrestleMania match for him, though.
Better than Roman and Solo.
Yeah, I agree. Derek J. Speaks with a $5 super chat. What if Gunther loses the belt, faces Cena at WrestleMania, non-title, beats Cena, wins the belt back in the spring, defends against Cena at SummerSlam, Cena wins number 17? I don't like it.
Yeah. No. I mean, but the idea of Cena getting the title match at SummerSlam and winning the championship, like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But it's not, like, some people think, well, it should be the WrestleMania match. It might be, but I don't think it has to be. And I just feel like you've got an entire year. Like, that's the story, right? In addition to just all the different people that are going to want to wrestle him and all the different matches you can do, the story is, can he achieve number 17? Why blow it off at WrestleMania? Unless they just want him to actually have a run with it. But, you know, he's not going to be around, like, full time. I think he's doing like 30-ish dates.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a lot, but I don't need to see like a full-blown final world title run over like a 6 or 8 month period for him. I feel like take your time telling that story. And then if you want to put the title on him for a brief period later in the year, that's fine. That's fine. Because they keep calling him like he's the GOAT. You know, he's the greatest of all time. If anybody was going to hit number 17 and beat the phony Flair record, it's Cena. And I feel like they would give it to him because they feel like he earned it, he deserves it, he should get that honor. And I could definitely see him winning number 17.
I'm sticking to my guns. I think Cena gets Logan Paul at WrestleMania.
I agree. I think that's... I had an interesting idea after the Tyson-Jake Paul fight a few weeks ago. I floated this as an idea where, like, how would you feel about a tag team match where it was Cena and Tyson against the Paul brothers?
I could see them wanting to do that, but I would say Tyson is better off in Cena's corner and Jake Paul would be better off in Logan's corner.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like having them involved in something.
Yes, I think they will. Being that it's in Vegas, I think they will absolutely be involved for sure. Eddie Valentino with a $5 super chat. If I'm booking Penta going into Mania, he debuts as a heel, targets LWO, breaks every member's arm until he gets to Ray. Easy Mania match.
Hey, that works too.
Yeah.
I like that. Go back to the arm breaker, the arm collector. That version of Penta was the best Penta.
Sarit says, how about Drew or Balor winning either the Rumble or the Chamber, challenging Chamber and challenging Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship? Both Drew and Balor's pushes are long overdue. I don't want to see Balor win the Royal Rumble or the Chamber. Drew, I think he'll hold gold next year. But I don't know.
Drew and Gunther? I don't see it.
Nah.
Not for WrestleMania.
No.
Not as long as they're both heels.
Boots with a $2 super chat. Cierro Miedo, mucho dinero. Okay. Sidro, thank you, Boots. Sidro, oh God. $10 super chat. Pirate walks into a bar with a peg leg, parrot on the shoulder, and a steering wheel in his pants. Bartender says, hey, you got a steering wheel in your pants. Pirate says, I know. It's driving me nuts. Okay, that's not the last from Sidro, by the way. Alex with a $10 super chat. Brother JD and Solo, are we ready to see the punt kick back? And who is the first victim to receive the punt? Great show as always. Kevin Owens.
Be Kevin Owens.
Yeah. Tit for tat, pile driver, punt kick, boom.
But the key is, again, you save it. You don't have him going around using it every week on the regular. Like, you could take moves, and the pile driver stuff recently has established this, unlike other places, where when used sparingly and when used in the right situation, you could take any move and you can get it over as the most devastating thing in the world.
Sidro with a $10 super chat. Oh God, I have to do my best to say this. What's Bruce Lee's favorite drink? What?
Sounds like Johnny Cage from Mortal Kombat. No?
Oh man! Oh, he's not done.
Make that high-pitched noise.
He's not done. His favorite hotel, Hyatt.
You cut out on me there. I didn't even hear what you said. What did you say?
His favorite hotel is Hyatt.
Oh.
Hyatt. Oh my God, you guys are fucking crazy, man. And if zombies attack, go to Costco. There's cement walls, years worth of food, and zombies can't get in without a membership. Sure thing. That's the last place I'm going, fucking Costco.
Yeah, right. Boy.
He also says with a $2 super chat, Solo, you missed me yet. JD modded me here. You should too.
Yeah, I feel very disrespected that he has chosen his mod duties here over me.
See, I told you, Sidro.
Very upset about this.
Sidro with a $5 super chat. Where does Michael Cole buy clothes? A vintage shop.
Okay, that was good.
Also, what do you call a 1950s sitcom about an American woman married to a Samoan? Love Usi.
Now you see you messed it up. It should be I Love Usi.
Yes, I got where it was going at. Yes.
You messed up the punchline.
Hey, Monty with a $4.99. Naomi is the attacker. In the build-up, Naomi gives reason and keeps driving a wedge between them. Bianca has enough of both. Triple threat at WrestleMania. Maybe. But why would Jade want to wrestle Bianca, though? If that's the case.
Yeah, you'd have to come up with a good reason. Otherwise, it just becomes a handicap match.
Yeah. Lisa with a $5 super chat. I want to wish JD and the Solomonster a very happy Christmas. Thank you both for everything you do and showing up every week. Best duo in the IWC by far. Lisa, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate it. Actually, I just had a thought. Maybe you do a tag match and have Bailey in there.
Yes, I like it.
What else is she going to be doing? And Bailey, obviously, and Bianca, they have issues. They have history together.
Yep. Justin with the 28 months. I won't lie. You guys are more entertaining than AEW at the moment. Happy holidays. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you, Justin.
We're just waiting on our $600 million media rights deal over here.
Yeah.
That's all we need. Some of that sweet media rights money.
Shapey99 with a $5 super chat. This is too late of an idea, but WWE should have aired a small tribute to fallen wrestlers that were on Saturday night's main event, similar to what they did at ECW One Night Stand 05.
Yeah, they weren't going to do that, though. I mean, they're very limited on TV time, and I don't know that they think the majority of the people tuned into the show would necessarily even know who a lot of those people were. And I just think they don't want to bring down the mood. It was like a celebratory occasion. That sounds like something maybe they could have or would have done on their YouTube channel.
Yep.
Not on the main show.
Gangrene David with a $5 super chat. Was that Saturday night's main event show. Had a blast. The crowd was incredible. 2025 will be a huge year for WWE, starting with their Netflix debut. Yeah, you guys came off great on TV. You guys were loud all night.
Yep. That's not always the case either with the Nassau Coliseum.
No. Last time I was there, I went to World's End last year. It was fucking so quiet, I was falling asleep. Bad. Anthony, $4.99. What are your top 3 Christmas movies? That's a good question. That's a good question.
Die Hard is number 1. Despite what anybody says, that is absolutely a Christmas movie, and it is my favorite. One of my favorite movies, period. So that one, Home Alone.
Yep.
And I'll throw one at you it's a guilty pleasure of mine. I like the movie whenever it comes on. Jingle All the Way.
Okay, two of his are in my top three. Jingle All the Way, Home Alone. I'm going to throw one at you that a lot of people might not think, but Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds.
I never saw that.
That's a great movie.
Is it a comedy?
Yes.
Yeah, I never saw it before.
Yeah.
Who else is in it?
I forgot his co-star on that. She's actually very beautiful. I forgot her name. I got to look it up now, but yeah, it's a great movie. If you can go and watch it, chat if you guys know what I'm talking about. Ryan Reynolds, Just Friends.
Well, I'll throw one more in there too. Bad Santa.
That's okay.
With Billy Bob Thornton, the first one. That was a funny movie.
Oh, it's Ryan Reynolds and Amy Smart.
Yeah.
And Anna Faris is in that too. Yeah. I like the original Grinch with Jim Carrey, the first one that he did. Santa Claus with Tim Allen's good. First one.
That's okay.
Yeah. But Home Alone's probably my favorite though. Good question, brother. Appreciate you, Anthony. Sidro with a $5 super chat. Hot take. Cody gonna turn after Mania with him possibly losing his title to who? I don't know. I can feel a heel turn. He never answered KO's questions and gets mad.
Just Cody again. Cody is their top babyface. Like between the merch he moves and him being like he's that guy with the kids and everything at all the live events. And he's bringing the fans into the ring. And I'm not saying that Triple H is going to be as stubborn as Vince was and he'll never turn Cody. But like it would be foolish to turn Cody anytime in the near future.
Yeah,
it's just silly.
Brian Owens with a $5 super chat. Solomonster, I asked JD this last night, but in your opinion, who should have been world champion but never did? Happy holidays, TNT crew. Now, I mentioned Mr. Perfect, Ted DiBiase, Razor Ramon, and Jake the Snake.
All fine choices. Although I feel like Jake is someone who didn't really need it. Yeah, I mean, those are all great choices. I'll throw one more in there. And again, he also didn't necessarily need it, but Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
I mean, he was, talk about top heels. And even when he went babyface, like super over. But as a top heel, like mid-80s, Piper absolutely could have drawn money as a heel world champion. He might not have physically been like the monster that like Hogan and so many of those guys were, but neither was Savage. And Savage was a great champion.
Yeah, man, I don't know, man. I always, I think you had documented it so good. WrestleMania 8 should have been so much better than it was. It should have been Hogan, Hogan, Flair, and Savage, Savage and Jake for the title.
Yeah, I've always said, man, like it's such a weird WrestleMania, and I like it. It's actually still one of my favorite WrestleManias, even though they butchered the card. But because we got that great Savage and Flair match, and we got Brett and Piper, and it's just so good. But like you look at it and where all the stories seem to be headed, and Hogan Flair was just a gimme. Savage and Jake, and knowing Jake was leaving, you could have made it a loser leaves town match. Mm-hmm. Undertaker and Sid. You know, so don't turn Undertaker babyface when they did. Do Undertaker and Sid justice with Sid as the babyface. You do Shawn and Jannetty, which I think is what they were going to do. When Jannetty, they did the barbershop thing and then he got fired, I think, or suspended. But I think they would have opened the card that night. I think that would have been your opening match. LOD did a promo on the show. Like they should have been in a tag team title match. Just like up and down the card. There were just so many like obvious matches that just didn't happen. It's one of the more interesting manias. It's like as far as like behind the scenes, like if you knew the stories, like why this didn't happen or why that didn't happen. But I still like it though. It's still one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. Just for the commentary alone, I enjoyed the show. Both Monsoon and Heenan.
Yeah, it's the last Mania that they did commentary together.
Brian Owens, thank you, brother. Lady B with a 5. Do you believe Kenny Omega will be a rating draw upon his return? AEW is so last minute promoting his comeback. I do. It depends on what they have him doing. I don't really feel like this Jon Moxley Death Riders angle against the Elite is going to do anything, but I do think Kenny Omega is sorely missed. As I say, He is one of the last beacons of the old AEW that we actually have, and people do miss that. So I do think that there'll be a draw there.
I think that he is missed, and I think that he will definitely add something to the shows. Is he going to be a draw? I don't.
Okay.
I really don't. I don't see who could be that draw for them. I really don't. I don't want to say they're beyond help completely, because you never know. You get one guy gets hot, right? You never know. But the idea that Kenny would come back and they'll go from like 590 to like 720,
no,
or it's not happening.
No.
Like it's just not going to happen.
Joey Clemenza, 36 months. When I first came here, AEW was hot and WWE was hopeless. My, oh my, how the tables have turned. Here's to another glorious 3 years. Thank you, brother. 36 months is a long time. Demeter Bullion, Dr. Spider Professor Truthy Dumb with a $7.99. JD, you still like my idea from yesterday? Then also, Punky could chokeslam Cena off Empire State Building.
Punky?
Punky.
Okay.
Yes, Punky could chokeslam Cena off Empire State Building and then punch Hillbilly Jim Uso in the balls. Okay.
Are we talking about Punky Brewster, or are we talking
No,
about
CM Punky Funky, yes.
CM Punky? Okay.
Yeah. And Chaotic with a 199. About Cody, I meant his crowd reception. My bad. Well, I mean, that's just New York, Chaotic. I mean, they like what they like and they hate what they hate. So very straightforward, us New Yorkers, man. We tell you what it is and how it is.
And some people don't like that.
No.
It rubs them the wrong way.
Yeah. That's all we got for you. Thank you guys for a great 77. Keep in mind that we will not be here next week and the week after. We're taking the next 2 weeks off for the holidays. Jason will have his, as usual, New Year's Eve stream. We would never impede on that. And next week is Christmas Eve. So I will be with family, and I don't really want to talk pro wrestling while I'm 3 or 4 drinks in. Nothing to this guy, but everything's taped. There's not going to be much going on. So
yeah, I mean,
it is what it is.
It's that time of year.
Yeah.
It's that time of year. So it just worked out. It made sense that this be the last TNT here for 2024.
Yeah. And Cedro comes in with a last minute $5 super chat. What's the difference between Goldust and slutty popular girl in high school? The slutty popular girl only jobs out to the A squad. Jason's not amused, Cedro.
I got nothing.
Nothing.
I don't know how to respond to that.
Nothing. Boots comes in with a $5 super chat. JD, during the Attitude Era, did you ever try WWF Eau de Toilette? And will you two be watching AW on Max or their respective networks?
Okay, now he asked me this question the other day, and I want to see what do you think that is?
Is that the model Rick Martel's perfume? What is that?
It actually, apparently it was a perfume. When he mentioned it to me, see, I had gotten a question about WWF New York, I think right before this. So then I see this, and I thought he was referring to, I thought it was the toilet at WWF New York. And I said, well, I've been to the restaurant, but I don't remember the experience of being in the bathroom there, what it was like. And they're like, no, he's not talking about the bathroom. It was like a fragrance of some kind. I said, oh. I said, no, I never did. I know WCW had a nitro cologne many years ago, but yeah. So I had no experience with it.
I would never wear anything licensed by WWE as far as a fragrance, ever. And
nice. Any kind of wrestling fragrance?
No.
Like,
fucking smell like fucking Bastion Booger over here. And AEW, I'll be watching on TNT. I'll tune into that first Mac show just to see what it's about and how the navigation is, but I'll be viewing on TNT. Abu Sika with a 2. He says Bukkake.
Oh boy.
And Alex with a $10 super chat. Well, you guys are fucking nonstop here, man. Holy shit. Alex, with Raw's move to Netflix and SmackDown becoming 3 hours, do you guys see WWE restructuring their pay-per-view format to incorporate more matches, or will they stick to the 5-match format? Alex, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but I think most of the big 5 shows are going to 2 nights. So you could take out those 5 and then leave the other remaining pay-per-views as regular 2.5 hours, 3 hours. But I wouldn't be surprised if most of these shows go fucking 2 nights, honestly.
Well, the Rumble's going to go next.
Yeah.
Just a matter of which year they do it. And then assuming that all goes well and business is still hot for them, I think Chamber is next and then Money in the Bank. But, I mean, as far as the other shows, I think he likes the format, the 5 or 6 match format.
Yeah.
Usually 5. Because they have so many video packages and commercials and stuff, so I don't see that changing.
And Advocate 005 with the 7 months. Merry Christmas, JD. Solomonster, thoughts and prayers to your family, JD. I'll be adding it to the prayers at my church. I appreciate that very much, man. It's been a tough week, but I thank you guys for being here. And I always say, for as much as you guys give back to me, as far as what you do, you know, when I need help, you guys are always there. So I appreciate it. Jason, I am going to let you sound this off here, man, for what is now the last TNT of 2024.
Well, I was just going to mention that just the other day, yesterday, I believe, John Huber, late Brody Lee, would have turned 45 years old. That was going to be his 45th birthday. It's hard to believe, you know, we're coming up on the 4-year anniversary since he passed away. One of the greatest things that AEW ever did, and the saddest, was that tribute show during the pandemic when he passed away. So it's still kind of shocking to think back to that whole situation and how that all went down. But I wanted to bring that up and just mention him here during the holiday season, because the day after Christmas is the anniversary of his passing. And still a sad story to think about to this day, but obviously, a lot of people were impacted by him, made a lot of friends, a lot of positive stories about him. And when I think back on him, one of the things that I always think back on is his brief period of time with the Dark Order and how entertaining he was. And it's a real shame that, you know, he couldn't do that in front of actual wrestling fans.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to mention him here coming up this whole month, I guess, with his birthday and his passing. It's just a sad time, and thinking about him and his family right now.
Absolutely. We miss him for sure. And very well said. Thank you guys very much for everything you've done here on TNT. Like I said, this is the last show that you'll see this year. It's only 2 weeks. We'll be right back with you. Things will be hot and heavy as soon as we get back, because January 6th, the biggest Monday Night Raw of all time, will be taking place. And Jason and I will be right back the next night to talk about it all. And we'll be live that night on our respective channels. We can't wait. It's going to be a big one. But thank you guys very much for all your support.
Clone Force.
Clone Force, $4.99. Fans that boo Cody because he teams with Roman, but cheer for Roman. Those fans, oh my goodness, you guys don't want us to go anywhere. Jesus fucking Christ. Let me put this fucking screen back on here, man.
These are fucking my guys here that are chiming in. Leopoldo.
I got to show us on camera again, man. Holy shit. Clone Force says, fans that boo Cody because he teams with Roman, but cheer for Roman. Those fans are hypocrites. I guess you could look at it that way, sure.
Yeah.
We got Leopoldo with a $50 super chat. Been listening. How you loved it solo. But I don't know if you said who told you so. KO honored history and would take the belt instead of destroy it like you said. Come on, LOL. Just reminding you who said it. And like I said, he'll be walking around with it too. Love y'all.
I did think that he would take the title and destroy it, Mr. Perfect style. And instead, it looks like he's going to be... he still may destroy it, by the way, but it is a replica.
Yeah.
But he's going to carry it around for a while, and I love it. I think it's great.
And Tony Brown comes in with a $4.99. He says, Merry Christmas, young men. Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much.
I turned 43 in February, so I don't know how young that is. I guess it's still young.
I don't look a day over 27, so Merry Christmas.
There you go. There you go, man. Thank you guys very much for all your support. Appreciate you. We don't mind if you want to keep us here, but we're about to get out of here. Last TNT of the year. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Go follow Jason everywhere on social and on YouTube. Click that subscribe button down below. Go follow him on YouTube. He'll be live tomorrow night covering Dynamite, as I will with hologram mask and Jesse. It's going to be great. But make sure you guys tune in for that. And until 2 weeks from now, happy holidays, guys. Be safe. Happy New Year. And we'll see you right back here on January 7th. Talk to you guys later.